Yo Shinobi fam, welcome back to Just a Shinobi. Today, we're diving into one of the wildest what-ifs. What if Naruto Shinobi among the monsters? Part 4, haven't you watched previous parts? So buckle up for some serious action and twists. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button for more mind-blowing Naruto scenarios. Check out the other videos on the channel, share them with your ninja squad, and don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps this shinobi going strong. 2 months after. The moon illuminated the dark night sky, casting a warm glow over the forest. The streams were murmuring quietly, the leaves were rustling softly in the gentle wind, and the wildlife was coming out to play in the early hours of night. Futon, raise and shuriken. The tranquil peace of the forest was shattered by a loud screeching sound that sent the wildlife into disarray. A moment later, there was a loud explosion followed by angry cursing in ancient Greek. What in Tartarus's name was that for? Apollo yelled indignantly. I thought that you would teleport away. Naruto yelled back frantically. I thought that you would have the brains to stop before you actually hit me. Apollo let out a groan of pain, collapsing to the ground. Golden ichor, the blood of the gods, trickled from countless cuts all over his body, courtesy of a raisin shuriken. This might be the end for me, he gasped, his face twisted in utter agony. The pain is too much. I don't think I can make it. Apollo, stop overreacting, Artemis spoke up, stepping in from the edge of the clearing. Apollo pouted, his pained grimace disappearing. You're not even the slightest bit concerned? Artemis didn't hesitate in her reply. Not at all. I could be fatally injured, you know, Apollo exclaimed dramatically. Can you imagine the guilt you would feel if I died knowing that my little sister wasn't worried about me at all? Artemis stared at him, unimpressed. Gods can't die, so forgive me if I'm not overly concerned. Now heal yourself, you're bleeding all over the forest floor. The last thing I need is a repeat of the previous time your ichor got into the systems of the wildlife. Apollo chuckled. I remember that incident. Out of curiosity, did those contaminated squirrels ever return to normal? A haunted gaze passed over Artemis's face. No, they did not. With a snap of his fingers, golden light enveloped Apollo's entire body, not the intense golden light of his divine form, but rather the warmer light of his healing magic. A moment later, the light died down to reveal Apollo in perfect condition. There were no traces that he had been previously injured, not even a light scratch. He stood up and stretched, his spine giving a satisfying crack. You know, I can't help but feel a little annoyed that you can heal the damage from the raisin shuriken by merely snapping your fingers, Naruto grumbled. It deals damage on the cellular level, for the sage's sake. Apollo hummed. I'm sure that would have been an issue if I had cells. Naruto stared at him. You don't have cells? He echoed blankly. I don't have cells, Apollo confirmed. I thought that was obvious. Isn't it common knowledge that gods don't have DNA? Which, incidentally, he coughed, muttering under his breath, is why it's totally acceptable for gods to date each other even if they're family. Naruto chose to ignore the latter half of his statement. I knew that you didn't have DNA, but you don't have cells? He asked incredulously. Well, yeah, Apollo shrugged. But you have organs and sinews and stuff. Correct, Apollo inclined his head, however, if you examined those under a high-powered microscope, you would see no further base components, no cells, no organelles, nothing. Just the golden color of ichor. It's important to keep in mind that while we are in our mortal forms, we're not actually mortals, Artemis added. Naruto made a face as he tried to wrap his mind around it. That's so weird. What's wrong with not having cells? Kurama spoke up, sounding rather bewildered. Seems perfectly reasonable to me. What do you? He was silent for a moment, as he thought it over. Bijus didn't have cells either. Huh, that actually makes sense. Naruto shrugged. Alright then. Godly physiology aside, good fight, he grinned as he extended 2 fingers in the seal of reconciliation. For you, maybe, Apollo grumbled as he reached out and completed the seal. You weren't the one who had to deal with millions of microscopic wind blades piercing through your body. First time? Kurama muttered with a note of sympathy. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Yeah. That's my bad. It is your bad, Apollo agreed. Naruto snorted. Another round? Sure. Once more, Naruto closed his eyes and prepared to enter Sage mode. As always, he sensed countless natural energies. Let's try something new this time. Instead of gathering Artemis's natural energy like he normally did, he focused on the bright and potent natural energy that felt like Apollo, gathering and blending it with his chakra to create Senjutsu chakra. Oddly enough, this was way slower than usual. Unbeknownst to Naruto, Apollo's gaze steadily grew darker and darker as the seconds ticked on. Finally, after nearly a minute, his eyes snapped back open. Sage mode Apollo style. Golden pigmentation appeared around Naruto's eyes as his internal temperature seemed to rise by several degrees. Naruto examined himself, clenching and unclenching his fists experimentally, then his eyes widened in surprise as Apollo suddenly materialized in front of him, grabbing his shoulders tightly. Hey, what's the big deal, Dash? What did you just do? Apollo demanded in a low hiss, his narrowed eyes glowing in intense golden light. Naruto blinked. I borrowed some of your natural energy to enter Sage mode. Apollo paused, confusion flickering across his gaze. You what? Naruto tilted his head. You know how my Sage mode is when I combine my chakra with natural energy? No, I don't know, Apollo said bluntly. You never told me. I didn't? Naruto frowned. Well, Sage mode is when I draw upon natural energy and mix it with my own chakra to produce Senjutsu chakra. And it just so happens that in this world, natural energy is a god's energy. Apollo's eyes widened in shock as he drew back abruptly. Naruto. Artemis stepped forward, her brows furrowed in concentration. Are you saying that you can absorb the divine energy of the gods and use it for yourself? Naruto nodded. Pretty much, as long as their domain counts as something natural. The sun, the moon, the forests, the oceans, the sky, and so on. However, if the domain isn't natural, I can't use it. I can't draw upon divine energy with the domain of war or archery, for example. As he spoke, Artemis and Apollo's expressions grew, increasingly astonished. Excuse me, but what the Tartarus? Apollo said incredulously. Wait. So you're saying that just now, you drew upon my divine energy with the domain of sun, and mixed it with your chakra to enter Sage mode? Yup, Naruto tilted his head. Is there a problem? It's what I've been doing all this time with Mom's natural energy. Apollo's head whipped over to stare accusingly at Artemis. And you never told me? He demanded. I didn't know, Artemis protested. I've never had a child before. I thought it was perfectly normal for him to tap into my divine energy. Okay, that's fair, Apollo admitted. But holy Zeus, Naruto. These are the types of things that you gotta tell us. He froze as a thought struck him. Please tell me you haven't tried to gather other gods' divine energies. I haven't, Naruto replied. Apollo visibly relaxed at that. I've only drawn upon Mom's natural energy so far. Why, is it that bad? He asked curiously. If I didn't know you, I would have blasted you instantly, Apollo answered, his expression fully serious. Naruto paled. For real? For real, Apollo confirmed. For you to steal away a god's divine energy without their permission. It's an insult of the highest degree, on the same level as sitting on their thrones or stealing their symbols of power. Oh. My bad. Sorry, Naruto apologized. Apollo sighed. It's fine. You didn't know. Just make sure to never do it unless you ask the god for permission first, Artemis said. Naruto nodded. Then Artemis breathed a sigh of relief. Thank the gods we found out now. I only shudder to think what would have happened if. She trailed off. Well, it would have been bad, to say the least. Naruto hesitated for a moment before looking at Artemis. May I please use your divine energy? Artemis nodded. Yes. I'm fine with it. Naruto grinned. Thank you? And sorry for not asking permission before. It's quite alright, Artemis assured. Apollo was already answering even before Naruto turned his way. Yeah, whatever, he grumbled. Go ahead. I'll be generous and allow you to use my awesome powers. Sweet, Naruto grinned. First things first, let's test out the Rasengan variant. Another Rasengan? Kurama muttered. I swear, every time you attain a new power, it's as if you have some moral obligation to try to incorporate it into the Rasengan. Hey, you can't have too many Rasengans, am I right? Naruto held out his hand palm up and a Rasengan infused with Apollo's divine energy burst into existence, emitting a red-orange light so bright it hurt Naruto's eyes. He could feel the intense heat scorching the air around it. It was as if he was holding a miniature sun in his hand. Apollo grinned brightly. Now that's awesome, he declared, sunglasses automatically materializing on his face. Naruto had an identical grin on his face. This Rasengan was similar to the Sage Art, Lava Release Rasen Shuriken, only a lot brighter. Now all he had to do was name it. This is called Sage Art, Sun Rasengan, he decided. Sounds suitably epic. Test it out, Apollo said eagerly, nodding at a nearby tree. Naruto drew back, aghast. On a tree? The sheer blasphemy. Indeed, Artemis agreed, snapping her fingers and materializing a dummy in front of Naruto. Here. Thank you. With that, Naruto slammed the Sun Rasengan into the dummy. The dummy didn't stand a chance. The Sun Rasengan melted right through it like lava poured onto ice. Oh man, Apollo grinned, that deserves a poem in its honor. Let's see. Artemis sighed despairingly as Naruto automatically tuned Apollo out. It was habit by now, and he regarded the Rasengan with a thoughtful gaze. You know, I'm pretty sure the Sun Rasengan is even more powerful than the Lava Release Rasengan. What do you think? Not a clue. Use a Lava Release Rasengan and compare the two, I guess. Naruto nodded, entering Six Paths Sage mode and forming a Sage Art, Lava Release Rasengan in his other hand before testing it out on the dummy. The Sun Rasengan was more powerful. By a large margin. Huh. So it is more powerful. Speaking of which, I'm surprised that you can still use your bloodline limits. What do you mean? Kurama sighed. Listen, Six Paths Sage mode doesn't give you any bloodline limits. You gained all your bloodline limits from the Biju's chakra. However, when I used the jutsu to reincarnate ourselves, my sibling's chakra was left behind. He paused, his expression becoming slightly sad. I can't even communicate with them through our telepathic link anymore. He shook his head to clear away those thoughts. Anyway, without their chakra in your system, you should have lost all your bloodline limits. However, I guess enough traces of residue of my sibling's chakra present in my own chakra after becoming the Jubi was enough to alter the genetics of your new body to allow you to use bloodline limits. Bloodline limits are genetic, after all. Oh. Wait, but if only our chakra was transferred in the space-time transit, then how do I still have Six Paths Sage mode? I thought I needed Six Paths chakra for that, and I already lost my young seal. You know what Six Paths chakra is? Kurama asked, astonished. Naruto grinned. Not so stupid now, am I? Even a broken clock is right twice a day, Kurama replied dismissively, snickering when Naruto made a rude hand gesture at him. Okay, but seriously though. How in the world do I still have Six Paths Sage mode? The short answer is pure luck. The longer answer is that since the jutsu I used was originally derived from a Six Paths technique, it automatically transferred the Six Paths chakra that was left in your system, Kurama explained. Then, when your new body was created, your new chakra system was altered so that not only does it produce your own chakra, but it also produces Six Paths chakra, which is why you can still use Six Paths Sage mode. I see, Naruto nodded. That seems awfully convenient. Indeed, Kurama agreed, absently flicking his tail. Why did it take you longer to enter Sage mode than usual? Artemis inquired. Naruto raised an eyebrow. You noticed that dash? Of course you noticed it. He shrugged. To tell you the truth, I honestly don't know. My power was probably too immense for you to absorb, Apollo smirked. Don't worry, it's normal for my sheer awesomeness to be overwhelming. Naruto and Artemis both ignored him. Try entering Sage mode with my divine energy again? Artemis said. Naruto nodded, exiting and then entering Artemis Sage mode. While it had taken him about a minute using Apollo's divine energy, it was nearly instantaneous with Artemis's. Strange. Isn't it obvious? What do you mean? Kurama sighed. Come on. Your body is literally composed of Artemis's divine energy. So, Kurama said slowly, that means that you literally have a source of divine energy within yourself. When you enter Artemis Sage mode, all you have to do is divert that energy into your chakra system, and then you'll have a continuous flow of energy. The natural energy is internal. However, when you enter Apollo Sage mode, the natural energy is external, which is why you actually have to take time to gather it, like back in our old world. Naruto's eyes widened in realization. Oichhh, I get it. Yup. I suspect you also have a time limit with Apollo Sage mode, unlike Artemis Sage mode. Probably. Yeah, that makes sense. Naruto quickly told Artemis and Apollo what Kurama had just told him. Nah, I'm pretty sure it's just because my divine energy is too. Artemis gave a long-suffering sigh as she elbowed Apollo in the gut. Anyway, it's getting quite late. I should return. See ya. Peace, sis. Artemis gave a nod in farewell before disappearing in a flash of silver light, leaving Naruto and Apollo alone in the clearing. There was a moment of silence as they both stared at where Artemis had previously stood. Say, Apollo began, his voice low, still staring ahead. You mentioned that you could absorb all types of natural energy, correct? Have you ever felt an ancient, extremely powerful divine energy before? Possibly slumbering? Right away, Naruto knew what he was talking about. Yeah, I have. Apollo stiffened. I see, he murmured. A word of advice. Don't ever use it. No matter what. That sounds rather ominous. I'm serious, Apollo snapped. Don't. Naruto raised his hands placatingly. All right, chill. I won't. 2 months, 2 weeks after. You're back, Sharon groaned. What do you want this time? I want to go to the underworld, Naruto said. Don't worry, Nico invited me. Karen's eyebrows rose. He did? One moment. He raised his hand to the side of his head as if listening to someone before blinking. Oh. He did. Immediately it was as if a switch had been flipped. Karen's entire expression and posture shifted, appearing more formal and sophisticated. He stood up and gave a slight bow to Naruto, a smile on his face. Welcome, Naruto, son of Artemis. It's a pleasure to have you here. Come right this way. Naruto blinked at the sudden change in attitude. All right. I apologize for my previous bout of rudeness, Sharon said as he led Naruto into the back of the studio. Naruto stared straight ahead stiffly, trying his best to ignore the ghosts around him. It was most unbecoming of me. It's fine. They stepped into an elevator already nearly filled with spirits. Naruto tensed up uncomfortably as sweat began trickling down his face. Seriously? Kurama snickered. You've fought against the likes of Kagaya and Madara themselves. How are you still scared of ghosts? They're creepy, okay, Naruto shouted. Gimme a break. The elevator started to slowly descend. I'm surprised you're still friends with Nico D'Angelo, Sharon remarked. Most would have abandoned him once they found out he was the son of Hades. Yeah, well, most are idiots then, Naruto declared. Judging someone by their parentage is beyond stupid. Sharon chuckled. A pity most don't share your worldview. Naruto started to reply but then clamped his mouth shut when he was unexpectedly struck by a sense of vertigo, feeling extremely dizzy. They weren't going down anymore, but forward. The air turned misty, and the floor of the elevator began swaying. Are you going to puke on me? Sharon asked, suddenly looking very worried. Please don't puke on me. Naruto turned to look at him then froze. Karen's Italian suit had been replaced by a long black robe. His eyes were gone, replaced by empty eye sockets filled with pure darkness. The flesh of his face was becoming transparent, allowing Naruto to see straight through to his skull. I have a bag somewhere, Sharon continued panically. Naruto wasn't focused on his words, however. Rather, He was a bit more concerned about the fact that the flesh of Karen's face was melting off, revealing the white skull underneath. Holy sage, your face. Sharon blinked. My face? What's wrong with my face? He drew out a pocket mirror and examined himself. It's. Naruto cut off when he realized that the elevator wasn't an elevator anymore. There was no flash of light or dramatic transformation. One moment, they were in an elevator, the next, they were standing in a wooden barge. Sharon was pulling them across a dark, murky river that seemed to absorb light itself. It was pitch black. My bone structure seems fine, Sharon continued, still scrutinizing himself in the mirror. In fact, I look pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. He turned to Naruto, who had paled substantially. What's wrong with my face? He asked again. It's gone. That's the problem. Well, of course it's gone, Sharon replied, sounding as if it was nothing out of the ordinary. Anyway, we're here. The shoreline of the underworld came into view, shimmering with purplish light. Craggy rocks and black volcanic sand stretched inland to the base of a high obsidian wall, which marched off in either direction, disappearing into the darkness. I hope your trip was pleasant. Please come again. With that, Sharon held out his hand, as if expecting something. Naruto stared at the skeletal hand blankly. A tip, if you will? Sharon asked hopefully. Wordlessly, Naruto reached into his pouch and drew out several golden drachmas, dropping it into Karen's palm. Sharon practically purred. Ah, I knew I liked you. Naruto! You came! Nico exclaimed enthusiastically. Yo, Naruto greeted cheerfully with a two-fingered salute. How have you been? The underworld treating you alright? More than alright, Nico grinned. I have no idea why the underworld has such a bad rep. Lots of reasons, Naruto muttered under his breath. I kinda like it, not gonna lie, Nico continued. Oh? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Really? Nico nodded. Yup. The food is always cooked by master chefs, my room is larger than a house, and I get to train with a bunch of epic heroes. I mean, sure, the decor is super gloomy, and sometimes the shower malfunctions so liquid fire from the river Phlegethon would blast me in the face first thing in the morning. Wait, what? But other than that, it's actually awesome. Well then, that's good. Anyways, I've learned a lot from ancient Greek heroes like Achilles and Theseus. You wanna spar? Nico practically vibrated with excitement. Sure, Naruto agreed with a smile. Show me what you've got. Not bad, Naruto nodded approvingly. You've improved drastically from the last time we sparred. I'm impressed. Nico beamed. Yes. Let's go. We take those. 3 months after. It's rather concerning, Hestia spoke up out of nowhere. Naruto glanced over from where he was sitting on the couch. Ever since the winter solstice, the Titans have gone total radio silent, Hestia said, a small frown on her face. The surveillance automatons Hephaestus created haven't picked up on any movement at all. They're undoubtedly preparing for something big. Naruto's gaze darkened. Ah. Right. Hestia smiled humorlessly. And you know the worst part? Most of the gods on Olympus still aren't worried about the Titan threat at all. Naruto blinked. Wait, seriously? Hestia nodded. To a certain degree, I can understand their viewpoint. After all, we have already defeated the Titans once, so naturally, we would be able to do it again, especially since Olympus has gained a lot of gods since then. I guess that's true, Naruto muttered. If the 6 elder Olympians were able to defeat the Titans, then the 12 Olympians should be able to do it with ease, I guess. Indeed, Hestia said before shaking her head. They're wrong though. Father wouldn't act unless he was absolutely certain his plan would succeed. And... She looked down at her lap. I'm scared, she whispered after a long moment of silence. Scared that my family will be destroyed and... Without any hesitation, Naruto reached over and drew Hestia into a comforting hug. She relaxed into the embrace. Don't worry. It'll be fine, he said with conviction. Hestia gave a heavy sigh. If only we could make peace, she murmured. Then everything would be well. Naruto laughed lightly. You truly are the goddess of family, he smiled. Strangely enough, Hestia looked up at him with a frown. Do you really think that's the reason why? She asked quietly. That I'm this kind and forgiving only because I'm the goddess of family? Naruto hesitated, but before he could say anything, Hestia continued. My sister, Hera, is also the goddess of family. However, is she as kind or forgiving at me? Hestia asked. Naruto shook his head. Exactly. Just being the goddess of family has nothing to do with it. Then why? Hestia was silent for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. Due to a curse placed on Kronos by Uranus, the Titan Lord ate all of his children after they were born except for Zeus. It was a horrifying experience, and everyone knows that the elder Olympians are still touchy about the subject even now, millennia later. Naruto stayed silent, not knowing where she was going with this. However, she turned to him. Nobody quite seems to have realized just how utterly painful it was being the first. It took Naruto a moment to understand the implications, but once he did, he drew in a sharp breath. Being eaten alive by your own father was already bad enough. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon had all gone through that. However, only Hestia had gone through it alone, before the rest of her siblings had been eaten. Just how much had she suffered? To have been born into the world, fully mature and cognizant because she was a goddess, only then to be swallowed by her own father, and remain stuck inside his stomach in complete isolation, not a single soul around. Day after day, month after month, year after year. All alone. Naruto's heart clenched painfully. It must have been pure agony. You understand, don't you? The goddess said softly. The hell that is loneliness? He swallowed heavily. Yeah, he managed to say. Then you must understand why I try to be kind to everyone. After all. Hestia smiled. How could I possibly not be kind to others after I've experienced the pain that's completely out of this world? Naruto's eyes widened. Knowing what it feels like to be in pain is exactly why we try to be kind to others. And at that moment, Naruto realized without a doubt why he felt so close to Hestia. It wasn't because she made delicious ramen, or that she was really nice. It was because, at her core, she was just like him. I'll do it, Naruto declared, determination burning in his silver eyes. You don't have to worry about our family being destroyed. I'll protect all my family and friends, even if I have to beat the shit out of Kronos himself. I swear it. Hestia stared at him, her brown eyes slightly wide. Then she smiled. And you never go back on your word, right? Naruto grinned. Believe it! But even as he said that, the image of Niji's broken body flashed across his mind. He quickly banished those thoughts. He would never let that happen, ever again. No matter what. 3 months, 2 weeks after. It's time, Apollo announced grimly. For what? Naruto asked curiously. For me to make the single worst mistake of my life. Stop being so dramatic, Artemis sighed. It won't be that bad. Yes, it will. Okay, possibly, Artemis admitted. Naruto, our mother wishes to see you. Naruto perked up at that. I get to finally meet my grandma? He asked eagerly. Yes, Artemis nodded. Let's go. He's so cute. The moment they materialized inside a little cottage, Naruto wasn't given any warning before he found himself getting the life squeezed out of him. Mother, let him breathe, Apollo sighed. Leto pulled back, scrutinizing Naruto's face closely before squealing in delight. He has your eyes, Artie. He has your eyes. Yes, Mother, Artemis let out an identical sigh. And please, at least introduce yourself first before hugging the life out of him. Leto coughed into her fist. Oh, right. She smiled at Naruto. I'm Leto, the Titan of motherhood and demurity. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. Hello, Naruto introduced himself with a smile. The name's Naruto. It's nice to meet you too. Oh, you have no idea just how long I've waited for this moment, Leto beamed. Artie's son, in the flesh. She laughed joyfully. It's wonderful. Naruto looked at Artemis. Artie? He asked silently. Don't ask, her expression said. You know, I had never expected Artie to have a child, so it was a pleasant surprise when Hermes came bursting into my cottage all those months ago telling me that, after all these millennia, she finally had a son. Leto smiled. I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was just another prank, but it looks like he was telling the truth. She paused, looking him over again. You look so much like her, she murmured, her thumb tracing across his face. Naruto squirmed under her attention but didn't pull away. It was kinda annoying, but at the same time, it was kinda nice. This had never happened to him before, after all. Anyway, Leto finally stepped back, smiling. Did you have dinner yet? I heard that ramen was your favorite meal, so I made some before you came over. Would you like some? Naruto brightened. I'd love some. Great. Leto led him to the kitchen. Is there anything else I can do for you? Did you want some dessert, or perhaps some trail mix? Artie really liked trail mix when she was younger. No, ramen is fine. Thank you, though. Naruto paused before he smirked. Actually, there is something you could do. Could you please tell me stories about my mother and uncle when they were little? Preferably embarrassing ones. Artemis and Apollo both froze. Leto's smile took on a mischievous tinge. I'd be happy to tell you. Ah, it was so long ago, she said reminiscently as she ladled out the ramen. Did you know Apollo had once? The twin gods watched the scene unfold in front of them, horror in their eyes. Apollo had only one thing to say. I told you this was going to be a mistake, he muttered. I told you so. Once they returned to the mansion, Apollo immediately whirled onto Naruto. You little shit, he growled. Naruto merely smirked at Apollo. Blackmail material, acquired. Let's see you try to turn me into a magical girl again. Naruto. Apollo and Naruto both froze as killing intent began leaking into the air. Slowly, they turned towards Artemis. The goddess smiled at Naruto serenely. It was a terrifying smile. I need to have a word with you. Naruto gulped. After Naruto finished apologizing for dragging her into things even though she deserved it, damn it. She had been an accomplice. He decided to change the subject and ask her something that had been bugging him all night. So, Artie? Apollo tensed up as he began slowly edging away. Artemis's eyes flashed. Naruto, she said dangerously. Would you like to find out exactly why Apollo has never called me that before? Naruto considered it. Hades, no. Artemis smiled, satisfied. That's what I thought. For months after. It was bound to happen eventually. Zeus with his arrogance. Kurama with his superiority to match. Naruto with his impulsiveness. They had been having dinner, with Hestia, Zeus, Artemis, and Athena coming over. Athena came over because she wished to continue interrogating Naruto, and Zeus came over for Hestia's heavenly cooking. A passing remark from Zeus had been the last straw that triggered everything. It's rather insulting how many minor gods believe you're on my level just because you defeated Ares. Naturally, Kurama took offense to that. Insulting? How about we show him insulting by smashing a bijudama against his face? And since Naruto had been rather bored that day, he decided to finally take Kurama's advice. I mean, I'm on your level though. Cue the frantic looks from Artemis, Apollo, Hestia, and Athena. Which led to the situation they were in now. Naruto staring down Zeus with Kurama egging him on in his head. Zeus raised an eyebrow. Such arrogance is unbecoming of you, Naruto. Well, as you said, Naruto shrugged. It's not arrogance if it's actually true. Oh? An interested gleam appeared in Zeus's eyes. Are you perhaps challenging me to a fight then? Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Kurama chanted in his mind. Naruto smirked. Perhaps I am. Let's fucking go. Zeus stood up, stray sparks of electricity crackling around him. You. Me. Outside. Now. Naruto stood up as well. Deal. No deal. Apollo yelped. No deal. Artemis shot him a grateful look. My mansion is going to get annihilated if you guys decide to go at it outside. Apollo continued. If you two want to finally have your dick measuring contest, go fight on a deserted island or something. Apollo. Artemis hissed under her breath. Hey, I like having a standing mansion, thank you very much. Tomorrow, then, Zeus said, taking out a small pocket calendar and making a small note. Let's say 1 o'clock in the afternoon? I'll take us to a deserted island, like Apollo suggested. Sure, Naruto agreed. Zeus smiled. Ah, this will be fun. It's been quite some time since I've last crushed a demigod in battle. Likewise, it's been several months since I utterly destroyed a god, Naruto returned without missing a beat. Zeus laughed heartily. I'll see you tomorrow. With that, he disappeared in a blinding flash of lightning. There was a moment of silence. That went well, Naruto said brightly. My child has no sense of self-preservation, Artemis muttered hollowly. None at all. What did Chiron even teach you at camp? It's completely doomed. Cheer up, sis, Apollo grinned. It's gonna be an awesome show, that's for sure. Indeed, Athena nodded, her gray eyes shining in excitement. This is going to be fascinating to observe. Hestia only had an indecipherable expression on her face. 4 months, one day after. You said what to my father now? Talia exclaimed in shock. Please tell me you're joking. Nope. Naruto grinned. I have a fight scheduled later today. It's gonna be so much fun. Wow. Just. Talia shook her head in disbelief. I have no words. Chiron would be so disappointed in you. Naruto snickered at that. Well done, Naruto, Phoebe said approvingly. The next step is to actually back up your words and defeat him, preferably in a beatdown that absolutely humiliates him. Talia whirled to Phoebe. Phoebe? What? Phoebe shrugged. We all wish to see the king of Olympus get taken down a peg or 20. She narrowed her eyes. A god like him deserves nothing less. There was a muttering of agreement around the hunters of Artemis, their gazes dark and determined. I admit, we don't know much about Zeus's fighting style, Zoe said, her brow furrowed in concentration, but as long as you manage to avoid his lightning bolts, you should be fine. I doubt he's had much experience in close-quarters combat, so try to get into melee range. Remember, there are no such things as cheap shots. Ally's amber eyes were narrowed, her customary smile nowhere to be seen. Use whatever dirty tactics you can think of. Go for the eyes. Just make sure to cause as much pain as possible. Typically, I would disagree on principle, Lily stated. But in this case, I suppose an exception could be made. Naruto exchanged a look with Talia. The hunter's collective animosity towards the king of the gods was clear. Whatever you do, Naruto, Zoe said resolutely, just make sure to win. The island they were on was a pretty stereotypical deserted island. Pristine white sand stretched about 100 yards inland before meeting a dense forest. The blue skies were partly cloudy and the sun shone down on them. They were surrounded by the clearest turquoise water Naruto had ever seen. Zeus was already waiting for them on the sand. This island didn't exist yesterday, Apollo muttered, looking around. Zeus nodded. I had Poseidon created just for this fight. Naruto blinked at the nonchalant statement. Oh right, gods. They could do that. Uncle is here? Artemis asked. As if on cue, Poseidon materialized on the beach in a spray of sea mist. The sea god wore a Hawaiian shirt, Bermuda shorts, and leather sandals, and he was holding a mango smoothie complete with a cocktail umbrella. Hey, Poseidon greeted with a smile. I hope you don't mind if I watch the fight. I do mind, in fact, a new voice spoke. Naruto turned around to see Athena walking up. Her gray eyes were narrowed at Poseidon. Poseidon shrugged. Oh well. Sucks to be you, I guess. Athena opened her mouth to retort, but Zeus raised his hand, interrupting her. You two can argue later. For now, however, I have to teach a certain demigod the meaning of respect. Naruto snorted. You wish, old man. Manners, Naruto, Hestia chastised. Oh, it's just a pre-fight banter, Apollo grinned. Don't worry about it. So what are the rules? Naruto asked Zeus. Fight until knockout, surrender or ring out? Zeus looked amused. Gods can't be knocked unconscious, by the way. Naruto blinked. Oh. Surrender or ring out, then? Seems good, Zeus nodded. Boundaries are this entire island? Sure, Naruto nodded. No holds barred. Zeus smiled. I'll give you a handicap, he said magnanimously. If you wish, I'll let you choose one of my powers and I won't use it this entire fight. Naruto smirked. No holds barred it is. Zeus's smile widened. Very well then. The terms of this fight are fight until surrender or ring out, no holds barred. Boundaries are this entire island. If you get knocked into the water, you lose. Do you agree? Yup, Naruto nodded. Then. He grinned. Shall we get started? The king of Olympus smiled. The rest of you should leave. Poseidon, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, and Hestia teleported away, getting out of range. For a moment, everything was still as the two regarded each other. Then, Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. Zeus blinked. A second later, a loud screeching sound filled the air. From inside the forest, Naruto finished forming his attack. First, he needed to probe Zeus's defenses. Futon, Raisenran Shuriken. Zeus spun around to see two spinning shurikens emitting a bright purple-silver light converging on his location. Even as they neared, Zeus simply stood there, his gaze unconcerned. In the instant before they hit, Zeus entered his divine form. Naruto immediately slammed his eyes shut. Even after all these months, he hadn't managed to finish the seal yet. In his defense, it was hard. He still had perfect awareness of everything that was going on though. As such, he saw electricity crackle around Zeus's form before he vanished in a blur of speed just before the Raisen Shurikens detonated. Zeus reappeared in front of Naruto. He stood in perfect yet relaxed posture, his hands clasped behind his back. Nice try, he said. Naruto grinned. Just a warning shot. Clones popped into existence and charged Zeus, Raisengans in their hands. Zeus didn't even deign to give them a second glance. A massive lightning bolt shot down from the sky, branching out to strike all the clones. They burst into chakra smoke, which was blown away by a gust of wind. You know, Zeus said conversationally, striding forward as dark thunderclouds began forming overhead, blocking out the light. I can't help but feel like you aren't taking me seriously. Clones? Really? In all fairness, they were six-paths Sage Mode Shadow clones with chakra cloaks, Naruto said, looking slightly disturbed. They're leagues more durable than normal shadow clones. And you dispelled them in a single shot. That was slightly concerning. However, it made sense. After all, Zeus's lightning bolts were like Sasuke's S-class technique, the Kirin. The Kirin was a highly destructive technique that involved Sasuke directing the natural lightning in the clouds. Zeus, however, had absolute control over lightning itself. The lightning bolt he just used was exponentially stronger than the Kirin. And unlike Sasuke, who needed to have perfect conditions to use the Kirin, Zeus could freely summon lightning bolts with just a thought. A god of the big three simply operated on a different scale than most shinobi. Luckily, Naruto was not most shinobi. As another lightning bolt slammed down from the suddenly dark sky, Naruto had already finished molding his chakra into the appropriate technique. Raiten, Otama Rasengan. In his six-path sage mode, Naruto gained the ability to fully comprehend chakra, thus essentially giving him complete mastery over all aspects of chakra manipulation. For example, it took him more than a month to finish the wind release, Raisen Shuriken while using hundreds of shadow clones, whereas it took him less than a second to master the lava release, Raisen Shuriken after attaining six paths sage mode. As such, combining the Rasengan with lightning nature was a piece of cake. And, well, hadn't Kakashi been able to cut through lightning itself with his Raikiri, which was a failed attempt at combining his lightning nature with the Rasengan? Just imagine what the real deal could do. Zeus's eyes widened as he witnessed his lightning bolt get split in half. Okay, now that's new. Even before Zeus finished uttering his sentence, Naruto was already moving on to his next attack. Without any warning, Naruto stomped his foot on the ground before he leaned back, inhaling deeply, and blowing out a literal sea of flames that would have made even Madara impressed. Simultaneously, he waved his left hand, sending out a gigantic gust of wind that amplified the flames tenfold. The ground around Zeus cracked before earthen spikes shot up, trying to pierce him. At the same time, the scorching sea of flames 100 meters tall rushed him. It was the highest level of elemental manipulation, all performed without a single hand seal. To any shinobi, it would easily be one of the most impressive things they've ever seen. To Zeus, however, a god who was used to entire seas being vaporized and mountains being destroyed in a single fight, it was nothing. Divine energy exploded out from him as he imposed his almighty will on the incoming attacks. The earthen spikes crumbled into dust, and the roaring flames were extinguished. Of course, Naruto didn't expect the attack to work. It was meant to be merely a distraction. Once the dust cleared, Zeus blinked in shock at what he saw. Hundreds of clones stood on every available surface in the forest, on the branches, standing parallel to the ground, on trees, on the ground. Each with a Rasen shuriken in their hand with different chakra natures. Wind, fire, water, lightning, earth, magnet, lava, boil. Zeus glanced around. Ah, he said sagely. I call bullshit. In unison, the clones hurled their Rasen shurikens. Even as an incomplete Kurama avatar head formed around Naruto to protect him, Zeus didn't make any outward moves. He simply stood there calmly, hands still clasped behind his back as the Rasen shurikens streaked towards him. Then he gave a heavy sigh. A 2-foot-long celestial bronze cylinder materialized in front of him, hovering horizontally in the air. Immense power radiated off of it in waves. Naruto recognized it on sight. Zeus's symbol of power. The Master Bolt. Naruto's attention was brought back to Zeus when he cleared his throat, the closest Rasen shuriken only a few inches away. And then the King of the Gods roared. Thunder boomed overhead as purple lightning streaked out from both ends of the Master Bolt, crackling and hissing. The hairs on Naruto's arms stood up as the purple lightning arced from Rasen shuriken to Rasen shuriken, overwhelming the dense spheres of chakra with sheer, overwhelming power, causing the Rasen shurikens to explode, their structural integrity lost. Their surroundings were utterly decimated by the shockwaves, trees and rocks and bushes disintegrating from the effects. Naruto winced and made a mental note to write an apology letter after the fight. Zeus stood in the middle of the explosions, an invisible barrier protecting him from the blasts. You forced me to use my Master Bolt, Zeus murmured once the last Rasen shuriken was gone and the purple lightning fizzled out. A mere demigod forced me to use my Master Bolt. He narrowed his eyes. I admit, I'm just a little miffed about that. Naruto grinned, the Kurama avatar dissipating. Yeah, well, you're about to have to use a lot more than that. Despite his outward confidence, however, Naruto was slightly concerned. The Master Bolt was strong as hell. The lightning it just unleashed was one of the most powerful attacks Naruto had ever seen. Indeed, Naruto could see why it was considered the most destructive weapon in the world. Naruto then smirked as black spheres appeared behind him, levitating in the air. One of them formed a monk's staff, a shakujo that Naruto wielded in his left hand. Correction, the second most destructive weapon in the world. Zeus's eyes widened as he regarded the truth-seeking orbs. That's, he breathed incredulously. Concentrated spheres of chaos? Naruto frowned. Say what now? No, Zeus muttered, calming down. At first glance, it appears to be the same, but now that I examine it closely, there are definitely differences. However, he chuckled. You're certainly full of surprises, son of Artemis. Naruto shrugged. Thanks, I guess. With that, he blurred out of existence, the landscape around him warping as he shot towards Zeus. Naruto was already planning ahead in his mind. After a brief melee exchange, he would disengage and then use a Bijudama Raisin Shuriken with the truth-seeking orb at its core, that is, of course, assuming that Zeus wouldn't be defeated by the close-quarters fight alone, which was a highly likely possibility. After that, he would follow up with a Sun Raisin Shuriken. For the first time since the fight began, Zeus unclasped his hands from behind his back. Naruto stopped immediately, partly out of caution, partly out of curiosity. Zeus slowly raised his right hand. It appeared he was going to use his Master Bolt then. Naruto scrunched up his eyebrows in confusion when Zeus continued raising his hand past the still hovering Master Bolt, until his hand was around eye level. "Naruto," Zeus called out. "Yeah?" Naruto replied warily. "You shouldn't have stopped." He snapped his fingers, and suddenly, Naruto couldn't move. "And there we go," Zeus smirked. "I win." About a kilometer away, Poseidon, Athena, Hestia, Apollo, and Artemis were observing the fight from a boat. The distance was irrelevant. All of them had superhuman senses and supernatural sight, in some cases. The sheer amount of power and energy that was emanating from the island was goddamn terrifying. It was easily comparable to a fight between the big three. Athena's pen blurred as she took down notes, an almost hungry expression in her gray eyes. Hestia had a slightly worried expression on her face as she watched the fight. Apollo was grinning wildly. He had headphones on, and epic music was undoubtedly being blasted into his ears at max volume as a soundtrack for the fight. Artemis wore a blank expression, but she was gripping the railing so tightly her hands were white. Poseidon was simply sipping from his mango smoothie, every so often raising his eyebrows in interest. The five gods watched as Zeus snapped his fingers and suddenly, Naruto froze. "What just happened?" Artemis demanded. "A paralyzing spell?" Poseidon hummed. "Not quite," he said. "Oh, this is getting interesting." "Well, explain." Artemis paused when Poseidon shot her a glance. "Please," she amended. "Apologies for my rudeness." "It's quite all right," Poseidon said amicably. "Let me ask you something. When you think of me fighting, what images are conjured up in your mind?" Artemis blinked. "What?" "Or let me put it to you this way. What powers do you see me using in a fight?" Artemis tilted her head. "Hurricanes and tsunamis, I suppose." Poseidon smiled. "Because I'm the god of the sea, correct?" "Yes," Artemis nodded slowly. "So you don't think of me using my trident at all?" Artemis paused. "Well, if you were in close quarters combat, then sure." "Then tell me, why is it that, whenever everyone thinks of Zeus fighting, the Master Bolt is the first thing that comes to mind? Shouldn't it be something else?" Artemis frowned in confusion before her eyes widened. "Wait, you don't mean?" Poseidon's eyes twinkled. "Now you get it." "It's been millennia since anyone's pushed me this far," Zeus admitted, stepping forwards. "I haven't had to use this power in thousands of years. I doubt even Athena, Apollo, and Artemis knows what this is." Naruto struggled, trying to move, but it was futile. "What the sage did you do?" he demanded. Zeus hummed. "Haven't you ever thought it was strange?" he asked. "What?" Naruto scowled. "What are you talking about?" "Everyone, and I mean everyone, thinks that my strongest power is the lightning bolt," Zeus continued, ignoring him. "From movies to books to even my myths. And to a certain extent I get it. Lightning bolts are awesome, and my symbol of power is the Master Bolt. However," the king of Olympus chuckled, "while I am the god of lightning, I have a domain that I feel is slightly more impressive. For you see, I am the god of the sky." Naruto's eyes widened in realization. "And tell me, Naruto, what is abundant in the sky?" Zeus asked, stopping right in front of him. The thing that was preventing Naruto from moving. Zeus's strongest power. It was air. Hundreds of millions of tons of concentrated air were pushing on Naruto from all sides, holding him in place. The only reason why he wasn't crushed was because of the durability of his chakra cloak. My Master Bolt may be one of the strongest weapons in the world, but in the end, it's just a weapon, compared to the infinite vastness of my principal domain itself. Zeus smiled. There really is no contest, is there? On a related note, I really hope you know how to swim. And with that, Naruto was blasted by a cannon of pressurized air. He shot back, tumbling head over heels. He tried to stabilize himself and fly, but it was useless. The air pressure was too strong. The force pierced through his chakra cloak and he coughed out blood. Oh shit. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Naruto impacted the ocean, skipping across the surface like a stone before rolling to a stop, his chakra keeping him aloft. Fortunately, Naruto was half god, half bijou, and so his injuries healed in just a few seconds. He shakily climbed to his feet, trying to piece together what had just happened. He had just been struck by a cannon of pressurized air. It was similar to Gai's evening elephant, the attack that had temporarily immobilized Madara in his Jubi Jinchuriki form. Only, while Gai had to open the 8 gates themselves in order to gain the strength to punch the air cannons into existence, Zeus appeared to be able to unleash an air cannon even stronger than the evening elephant with a single thought. It really was unfair. Well, there goes our win streak in this world, I guess, Kurama said hollowly. What? I didn't lose the fight yet. Naruto froze. That was right. This fight was determined by ring out. Naruto was currently standing on the ocean, outside of the boundaries. He had lost. Are you alright? Hestia immediately asked in concern as Naruto stepped back onto the beach. The 6 gods were already there, waiting for him. Zeus had exited his divine form, and Naruto had also exited Kurama mode and 6-path sage mode. Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto said. That was a good fight, Zeus said, smiling. I haven't been pushed this hard in millennia. You did exceptionally well. Naruto grinned at Zeus. Right back at you. I confess I did not expect this to happen. Good fight, Gramps. Don't get him wrong, he was frustrated as hell. He could have won. He could have won, damn it. Naruto hadn't used his truth-seeking orbs to their full effect yet, not to mention his newly acquired Sun Raisin Shuriken. Hell, there hadn't been a single Bijudama in their fight. Naruto had just been getting warmed up and then the fight was overdue to a ring out. Who the Hades agreed to that stupid condition? Oh right, he did. It was kinda tilting. Kurama was still screaming incoherently in his mind. However, Naruto had been defeated because Zeus had taken him by surprise. As someone who prided himself on his unpredictability, he respected that. Then the son of Artemis narrowed his silver eyes, his gaze determined and resolute. Of course, you may have won this fight, but in our rematch, I'll definitely defeat you, he vowed. Just you wait. Zeus chuckled. I highly doubt that. But in any case, I look forward to it. All of them paused as Hermes materialized in front of them. Hermes? Zeus said in confusion. What are you doing here, Dash? Father, Hermes had a panicked look in his eyes. It's gone. Holy Hades, it's actually gone. He turned to Apollo. Dude, please tell me this was some prank I wasn't included in on, because if it wasn't then we're actually so foo. Calm down, Zeus commanded. What's gone? Hermes turned back to Zeus, his eyes wide and fearful. Camp Half-Blood, he answered. The camp. It's gone. They all tensed up. Is this a prank? Zeus asked dangerously. Because if it is, just check for yourself. Zeus narrowed his eyes at the messenger god's tone but nodded, using his supernatural sight to check. A moment later he paled drastically. Hey, father, if I'm not mistaken, Apollo said, his voice shaky. There's an empty field where Camp Half-Blood should be. Call an emergency council meeting, Zeus thundered. Now. Chaos. The throne room was in absolute chaos as the gods screamed accusations at each other. Naruto was sitting on the ground next to Artemis's throne he had tagged along. Nobody objected to his presence. Probably because they were too busy freaking out. Enough! Zeus finally shouted, thunder booming overhead. The gods all quieted down. The situation is this, Zeus said, steepling his fingers. Approximately 14 minutes ago, Camp Half-Blood disappeared off the face of the earth. There are no traces left behind. None of us knows where it is. Even worse, we're unable to contact Chiron, Dionysus, or any of the demigods. Everyone glanced at the empty grapevine throne. It appears the Titans have finally made their move after months of being silent, Athena spoke up grimly, her gray eyes narrowed. Summer break started a week ago, so the vast majority of demigods were already at Camp Half-Blood. In one single move, they accomplished one of their biggest objectives, the destruction of the demigods. Camp Half-Blood cannot possibly have been destroyed, Ares growled. Its magical borders would have protected it. Besides, I would have sensed such an event. Perhaps it was moved? Apollo asked. That's the most likely conclusion, yes, Athena nodded. Then we just need to figure out where it was moved to, Hermes declared before turning to Hephaestus. Any luck with your surveillance automatons? Hephaestus shook his head. This entire meeting, he had been typing on a laptop, his fingers blurring across the mechanical keyboard. I'm not picking up anything. Hermes let out a sound of frustration before whirling to Apollo. Come on, bro, prophecy powers. I believe. Apollo also shook his head, his eyes downcast. I'm not seeing anything. A strong, ancient magic is clouding my vision. I can keep trying, but for now, I've got nothing. Damn it, Hermes cursed. We're going about this in the wrong way, Athena suddenly said. Instead of trying to figure out where Camp Half-Blood was moved to, we need to figure out how it was even moved in the first place. There was a moment of silence as they considered it. Zeus growled. Hecate. Precisely, Athena nodded. We already know that Hecate is working with the Titans. Every time we shift from country to country, Camp Half-Blood also automatically shifts due to the mist. I presume that Hecate somehow hijacked that function as the goddess of the mist, allowing her to freely move the camp around to wherever she pleases. However, Poseidon frowned, deep in thought. Hecate shouldn't be powerful enough to do that on her own. The camp has numerous magical protections and charms. She must have exploited some internal weakness in the camp's defenses. But what could it have been? Naruto's eyes widened. I think I know. Instantly, every god's attention turned to him. Of course, Athena muttered, having realized as well. I'm so blind, I should have expected this to happen. There's only one thing that could have acted as an internal conduit to facilitate the process, and we've all been aware of it for months. What? Zeus demanded. Naruto's expression was grave. The labyrinth. Shocked silence rang out through the halls of the throne room. Zeus recovered first. The labyrinth? He frowned in bewilderment before looking at Athena. Wasn't that your kid's invention? What does that have to do with this? Everything, Athena answered grimly. It's obvious. She paused as she glanced around the throne room only to be met with blank faces. Or perhaps not, she amended. An explanation seems to be in order. It's a well-known fact that Daedalus, my son, had originally created the labyrinth for King Minos's palace to function as a death maze to punish dissenters. What is less well known, however, is the fact that Daedalus had entangled the labyrinth with his soul, life force, and the fabrics of mist itself. Apollo frowned. You can do that? Yes, Athena inclined her head. The result of this is that the labyrinth, rather than being a normal structure, is instead a quasi-living entity that over the millennia has extended across essentially the entire world. Only a few places are left untouched by its grasp. Her eyes took on a glint. It's fascinating, it truly is. Its propagation resembles the branching effect of. Spare us the drivel and get to the point, Demeter snapped. Athena blinked, breaking out of the trance. Ah, my apologies. The point is, the labyrinth is intrinsically tied to the mist, thus it's capable of serving as a conduit for magic. She tilted her head. An apt analogy would be to think of it as an electrical wire that allows current magic to pass through. In this case, the spell would have likely been a spatial transference phenomenon that allowed Hecate to relocate the camp. While the camp's magical protections and charms are capable of defending it from external influences, the labyrinth is able to bypass that. Well, why didn't you just say that in the first place? Hephaestus growled, the engineer within him clearly disliking the inefficiency with which she delivered the information. It's important to have all the information before acting in order to avoid hasty decisions. Bah! Hephaestus waved his hand, the permanent scowl on his face deepening. Now that we know how Hecate moved the camp, how does this help us again? Athena smiled. Even with the aid of the labyrinth, Hecate wouldn't be powerful enough to move the camp wherever she wanted. She would have to use the labyrinth as a channel to facilitate the translocation of the camp. Returning to the electrical wire analogy, she can only move the camp to a place where the wires go. I see, Hephaestus scratched his beard thoughtfully. Which means we just have to follow the magical residue of the spell left within the labyrinth? Precisely, Athena nodded. The spell would have left trace magical residue within the labyrinth's passages and tunnels. She looked at Artemis. It should be child's play for you to track. Artemis tensed up but nodded. Yes. Then it's decided, Zeus declared. We shall send a rescue team into the labyrinth to track down Camp Half-Blood and save our children. He paused for a moment before his expression hardened, a stormy look appearing in his suddenly dark blue eyes. Only Artemis will be permitted to go, as this falls under her sphere of influence. The rest of you all must stay on Olympus. Immediately, the throne room erupted into pandemonium. That joke was in bad taste, brother, Demeter said, a terrifying expression on her face. If you believe I won't act to save my children, then you're sadly mistaken. My children are captured, and you want to send her to save them? Aphrodite's eyes glowed. Not a chance in Tartarus. Damn the ancient laws, Ares growled. Those are my fucking children the Titans are holding hostage. If you expect me to just sit back, you're even more senile than I thought. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Ares, Apollo declared grimly. I have faith in my little sis and all, but something like this demands a more personal touch. Out of all the decrees you've made so far, I do quite believe this will be the one I'll enjoy breaking the most, Hermes said quietly, his eyes narrowed. Amidst all the objections, Zeus's expression remained stony. Finally, he raised a hand and thunder boomed, a wave of pure sound exploding outward and silencing everyone. 2 reasons, Zeus stated calmly. 1. There is a very good chance that this is just a diversion to lure us away from Olympus. 2. I'm sure you've all noticed that Dionysus still hasn't returned to us. They all shifted, the empty grapevine throne suddenly seeming extremely conspicuous. Most likely because he isn't able to return. I may not be the god of wisdom, but even I can see that this is an obvious trap. Athena, who was one of the only gods who hadn't objected, nodded slowly. I do not like this. I hate this, in fact. But Father is correct. We must remain here on Olympus. So what, you're just going to send Artemis and her hunters and call it a day? Demeter cried, outraged. You really think she can succeed against the Titan forces? She's already been captured once before. Artemis's eyes flashed angrily. Atlas took me by surprise, she growled. It will not happen again. Demeter snorted dismissively. Forgive me if I'm not going to risk my children's lives on your assurances alone. Enough, Zeus spoke softly, and inexplicably everyone listened. We are the council of gods, and we will act like it. He looked at Demeter. I understand that you're concerned, but there's no need to worry. After all, you seem to be forgetting about someone. Demeter frowned. What are you talking about? Zeus merely gestured over to the foot of Artemis's throne where a certain demigod was sitting. Yo! Naruto grinned brightly. Of course, Hermes murmured. The son of Artemis will be going as well. Naruto nodded. Don't worry, we'll save Camp Half-Blood and get all of your children back, believe it! There was a long moment of silence. Naruto has already demonstrated his skills and powers, Zeus spoke. Along with Artemis and the hunters, they will be more than capable of saving Camp Half-Blood. He looked around the throne room. I trust that there are no further objections. Slowly, the assembled gods nodded, albeit still slightly reluctantly. I guess he's strong enough, Ares relented. You guess? Kurama said incredulously. Didn't we thoroughly and completely dismantle him just a few months ago? Does he require another practical demonstration? Because after that miserable excuse of a fight we just had against Zeus, I am down to give him another demonstration. Kid, I'm trusting you here, Ares continued. You better get them back. Naruto nodded determinedly. I will, he promised. Swear it, Apollo said, deadly serious for once. I know you don't break your promises. Swear it. I swear I'll save them. Apollo closed his eyes. I suppose that'll do for now. I'll do what I can to help, Hephaestus said gruffly. Just tell me what magical item or weapon you need, and I'll forge it for you. You will? Naruto looked surprised. A sword with mecha shift capabilities? Hephaestus suggested. Or perhaps a suit of impenetrable armor? I want a cloak, Naruto said simply. A red cloak with black flame designs on the hem. That's it. The god of blacksmiths frowned when nothing else was forthcoming. Did you want an invisibility enchantment on that? Or perhaps nanomachines embedded into the fabric? Nah, just a normal cloak is fine. That's all you want? Hephaestus leaned forward, seeming bewildered. I'm offering to make you anything here. I have like an 8-decade waiting list for my services. You sure you don't want anything else? Naruto grinned. What more do I need? Hephaestus shrugged. Fair enough. He pulled out several wires of celestial bronze and began twisting them into shape, his hands glowing a fiery red. Did you seriously give up the chance to gain magical items of untold power? For a cloak? Kurama said flatly. Hey, gotta attain the drip, you know? The fuck is a drip? Now then, Zeus spoke up. Does anyone else have anything to say? No? Excellent. He looked at Artemis. Good luck, daughter. I'm sorry that I cannot offer you any more assistance, but I trust that you will succeed. Artemis nodded resolutely, turning to face the council. I will not fail, she vowed. The Titans will regret this, that I assure you. Just one thing. Apollo raised a finger, looking at Naruto curiously. I get that Athena's a genius and all, but how in the world did you know that Hecate was able to use the labyrinth as a magical conduit for a spatial transference spell? Naruto blinked. Huh. Oh, I had no idea about that. All I knew was that it's capable of manipulating space-time, so odds were it had something to do with the disappearance. He paused. Besides, the labyrinth is just plain creepy, he shuddered. I mean, have you seen that thing? It obviously had something to do with the camp's disappearance. Off to the side, Artemis was nodding along in agreement. Athena's lips twitched. Can't really argue with that logic, she muttered. Creepy? Hephaestus frowned, looking distinctly miffed. It's an engineering marvel, a masterpiece of unparalleled design. What are you talking about? Naruto shook his head. You wouldn't get it. No, seriously, you wouldn't, Apollo chimed in. It's a child of Artemis thing. Hephaestus made a noise of understanding. I see, he said. Anyhow, I'm finished. Naruto blinked. Somehow, in the past few minutes, Hephaestus had somehow forged a cloak with his bare hands and several specialized tools. The god of the forge clapped his hands and the cloak dissolved into motes of light, rematerializing on Naruto. Naruto examined himself, grinning when he saw that the design was pretty much identical to what he had worn back when he had first mastered Sage Mode. I love it. Thanks, Hephaestus. Hephaestus gave a grunt of acknowledgement. Ah, this brings back memories, Kurama said nostalgically. It really does. Enough with wasting time, Hermes interjected impatiently. His expression darkened. I already lost a son a few months ago. I'd rather not lose any more. Artemis nodded. We'll be off then. With a snap of her fingers, she and Naruto dissolved in a flash of silver light. How did it go? Naruto blinked when the moment he and Artemis reappeared in the hunter's camp. He was immediately accosted by the hunters. Huh? He asked dumbly. The fight against Zeus, Phoebe said urgently. Did you win? Oh, Naruto rubbed the back of his head. No, sadly. I lost by ring out. And I'm tilted again. They just had to bring this up, huh? Multiple disappointed sighs went up from the assorted hunters at that. Damn, Phoebe gave him a pat on the shoulder. Well, good try nonetheless. While I'm sure you would like to discuss the fight at length, I'm afraid we have more pressing matters to worry about, Artemis said gravely, striding forward. Immediately, all the hunters immediately straightened up, their gazes turning serious. What is it, milady? Zoe asked, instantly adopting her role as the lieutenant. Camp Half-Blood has been abducted by the Titans. There was a moment of silence. What? Talia's eyes went wide. Wait, what? When you say Camp Half-Blood has been abducted, Zoe began cautiously. Do you mean just the inhabitants, or the entire physical camp itself? I mean the entire camp, Artemis confirmed. Everything within the magical borders has been forcibly relocated by one of Hecate's spells. Katerina, the daughter of Hecate, visibly stiffened at that. Hecate, Talia snarled, the air suddenly filling with the scent of ozone and the charge of electricity. That traitor. She hesitated. I need to make some Iris messages. Excuse me? Zoe nodded, and Talia hurried away to try to find out if her friends were okay. I presume we'll be tasked with tracking down the camp? Lily, the daughter of Demeter, asked, her green eyes solemn. Artemis nodded. Father put me in charge of the rescue team. We have to locate and rescue the camp. Did the oracle give a prophecy? Jean, the daughter of Apollo, questioned. Then her eyes widened. Hold on. If the oracle is located within the camp. No oracle, no prophecy, Zoe summarized succinctly. We're going in effectively blind. Naruto shrugged. Prophecies are low-key overrated anyway. Just gotta trust in the process, and it'll work out. Besides, we already know what to do. Just follow the magical thingy in the labyrinth, and it'll lead us to the camp. Labyrinth? Zoe frowned. Wait, what does that have to do with anything? Quickly, Artemis and Naruto filled them in on what happened during the council meeting. So we're going back into that place. Bianca murmured, no doubt thinking about how they had entered the labyrinth during the Artemis retrieval mission. Yes. We'll be counting on you to help us navigate the labyrinth, Artemis said. With your powers as the daughter of Hades, this mission should go along fairly smoothly. No! Naruto, Zoe, and Talia all shouted simultaneously. Artemis looked taken aback. What's the matter? Mom! Naruto looked horrified. You did not just say that. Milady. Zoe's expression was pained. I understand that you're a goddess, and thus you don't normally have to worry about things like these, but… You just jinxed it, Talia said hollowly. We're doomed now. We're actually doomed. Artemis blinked. Ah. My apologies. But I mean, how much worse can it possibly get? As if on cue, Apollo appeared in a flash of golden light. Zoe's expression became even more pained. Much worse, apparently, Artemis muttered. I stand corrected. I have the feeling that that was an insult of some kind, but I'm going to choose to ignore it, Apollo said. Hey Zoe, what's up? He flashed a grin, but his heart clearly wasn't in it. His smile looked weak and forced. Apollo, Zoe greeted. You look more terrible than you normally do. Now that I'm sure is an insult, Apollo grumbled. Zoe's right, Artemis said, frowning in concern. Brother, are you all right? Apollo barked a laugh that contained approximately no humor whatsoever. My children have just been kidnapped, and will probably be dead by the end of the week, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. Do you think I'm all right? Artemis winced. I'm sorry, brother, that was a thoughtless question. Apollo sighed, rubbing his face wearily. No, it's fine. I'm just really damn worried. All of us are. This is the most united the Olympians have been since, well, ever. He shook his head. But enough of that. Have you finished your preparations? Artemis nodded. We'll be ready to leave once we pack things up. At this, the hunters immediately dispersed, moving like a well-oiled machine to pack up their camp. Any luck? Naruto asked when Talia walked up to rejoin them. Her gloomy expression said it all. I wasn't able to track down anyone, she said desolately, her fists clenching. Annabeth, Clarice, Beckendorf. My Iris messages failed to reach them all. Damn. What about Percy? I ran out of golden drachmas. Naruto paused. Seriously? Bruh. I know, right? I can't believe Iris took my money even though the calls failed to connect. Talia shook her head. I'm actually getting scammed here. Don't worry, Percy Jackson hadn't gone to Camp Half-Blood yet when it disappeared, Apollo helpfully informed them. He's in his apartment right now, still completely clueless. Can you get him here? Talia asked, a little desperately. We need all the help we can get here. Sure thing. Several seconds passed. Talia frowned. Aren't you going to, get him? Not yet, Apollo said, scratching his cheek as his eyes glowed golden. He's, a little preoccupied right now, if you catch my drift. Talia looked disgusted. I did not need to know that. And by preoccupied, I meant that he's in the middle of crying his eyes out, Apollo continued, raising an eyebrow. Do get your mind out of the gutter, my dear Talia. Talia spluttered incoherently before pausing. Back the hell up. He's crying right now. Concern flashed in her eyes. Wait, what happened? Can you teleport him over here? Apollo shrugged. Suit yourself. He snapped his fingers, and in a flash of golden light, Percy was next to them. True to Apollo's words, tears were currently streaming down Percy's cheeks, and his face was flushed bright red. Percy! Talia was next to him in a flash. What's wrong? She quickly brought him in a hug, whispering hushed assurances in his ear. Talia? Percy choked out. What just happened? Where am I? Apollo just teleported you. But what happened to you? She asked frantically. Why are you crying? I fucked up, Percy said, his voice strained as another fresh round of tears streamed from his eyes. I fucked up bad, Thals. What? What is it? I just ate a Carolina Reaper pepper to prove a point to my mom, Percy gasped out. Bad idea. Bad idea. Absolute silence. Slowly, Talia stepped back from him, her expression looking as if it was carved from granite. What? Milk. Do you have any milk? You're crying. Because you ate a spicy pepper? I'm dying over here. Please help. Talia closed her eyes and muttered several ancient Greek phrases under her breath that extolled the importance of patience and restraint. Percy Jackson, Artemis took over. We're about to embark on a mission to rescue Camp Half-Blood from the Titans. Naruto will fill you in. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to have some private words with my brother. With that, she and Apollo dematerialized. All the color drained from Percy's face, a rather incredible feat considering how red it had been just a moment before. And Naruto? Is the pain making me hear things? Naruto sighed. No. About an hour ago, Camp Half-Blood disappeared, courtesy of a spell by Hecate. You're one of the only campers who wasn't in camp when it disappeared, so you're still here. You're joking, Percy whispered before his eyes went wide with fear. Annabeth. Is Annabeth all right? Naruto looked downcast. I'm sorry, Percy. We'll get her back, I promise. We'll get all of them back. Percy slammed his fist against a tree, anger in his eyes. Fucking Titans. He cursed. You're angry, so I'll excuse your transgression against the holy log this time. However, strike it again and you shall be punished. Percy and Talia started talking to each other, and Naruto decided to give them some space. As he made his way through the camp, which was being rapidly packed up by the hunters, he paused when he saw a familiar figure standing in front of the fire roaring in the center of the camp. Hestia! Naruto called. Hestia turned around and smiled. Hello there, Naruto. I was hoping we could talk before you left for the mission. Yeah? Naruto came up beside her, both of them staring into the flickering flames. What is it? You're walking into a trap. Though Hestia's voice was calm and level, the way her hands shook slightly gave away her true feelings. The Titans have been preparing for the past 6 months for this. They hold every advantage, and they'll have made countless plans to take you out. Naruto nodded. I know, he said simply. I mean, their plans aren't going to work or anything, so it'll be fine. Hestia's lips quirked up. Is that so? Of course. Being unpredictable is one of my best qualities, Naruto grinned. If the Titans think they can take us out with this, then they're in for an extremely rude awakening. His eyes softened. So please don't worry for me. Hestia sighed. Intellectually, I know you're more than strong enough to take care of yourself. However, she bit her lip. I still worry. Hestia. Without hesitation, Naruto reached out and drew her into a hug. I'll be okay. Hugging a goddess without permission? She mumbled into his chest. How brazen of you. Naruto chuckled. Are you telling me you want me to let go? He began to loosen his hold, only to stop when Hestia tightened her arms around him. I'll take that as a no. You've gotten taller, she noted. Well, puberty has to be good for some things, you know, he grinned. Where before he and Hestia had been about the same height, now he was a good half a head taller than her. He missed his old height, he really did. Finally, she let go, stepping back. Don't you dare die on this mission, she said, her chocolate brown eyes narrowing slightly. Otherwise I won't make you ramen ever again. Naruto's expression turned grim. With such a horrible threat hanging over my head, I have no choice but to stay alive then. Indeed, Hestia nodded imperiously. Now go. Naruto shot her a thumbs up and grinned. I'll kick some Titan ass for you. They arrived at the place where Camp Half-Blood previously was located. Nothing remained except for an empty field. I can't believe this, Talia murmured. Her eyes flickered over to a hill that was no longer present. Even my tree is gone. Naruto led them over to where the entrance to the labyrinth was. A cluster of boulders greeted them, and he pressed the hidden delta that opened the secret entrance. Man, Naruto shuddered as he stared into the dark entrance. I'll never get over how horrible that feels. As if it being underground wasn't bad enough, it's also a death maze intrinsically tied to soul magic and the mist, Artemis muttered, an identical expression of aversion on her face. It's almost as if it was created to vex us. She turned to Bianca. Lead the way, she froze. Ah. I may have made a mistake. What is it, milady? Zoe asked in concern. I had originally planned to have us split up into groups to search the labyrinth. However, only Bianca can safely navigate the labyrinth due to being the daughter of Hades. Zoe cursed. You're right. How could I have been so blind? I mean, it's not that big of a deal, right? Naruto said. Can't we just go in one big group? Zoe shook her head. Sadly not. The more people there are, the higher chance there is of something going wrong. There's a reason why normally only 3 people go onto a quest. 5 is probably the highest we can go. Any more and? Well, the risk increases exponentially. So what, we just have to stay behind again? Phoebe demanded. Zoe sighed. I don't like it any more than you do, but unless you somehow find a way to navigate the labyrinth, she paused. Oh wait. Katarina? All eyes turned on to Katarina, who shook her head. I'm afraid I'm going to be useless here. She smiled thinly. Mother is intentionally obfuscating my powers right now. Zoe sighed. Damn it. Well, it was worth a shot. Who will go, then? Phoebe asked. Artemis considered them all for a moment. Zoe, Bianca, Naruto, and Talia, she finally said. The hunters grumbled but acquiesced. Unfortunately, a certain son of Poseidon was nowhere near as agreeable. Now hold on here, Percy frowned, stepping forward. I need to go as well. Denied, Artemis said flatly. I would be a fool to deliver you straight into the hands of the Titans. I'm already taking a big enough risk bringing along Talia and Bianca. I can help though, Percy protested. Sis? Apollo spoke up. I think Percy should go. Artemis whirled to Apollo. What? Why? Gut feeling, he answered simply. I have a premonition that his water powers will come in handy. Artemis exhaled. Fine. Persis Jackson will come along as well. Yes. Percy pumped a fist. I owe you one, Apollo. Now then, Artemis cast her gaze back to the entrance of the labyrinth, and steeled her gaze. Let's go. The hunters wished them luck as they entered the labyrinth. Naruto went in last, and as he moved to enter, Apollo grabbed his arm. Naruto frowned. Apollo? Don't you dare hold back, Apollo's eyes were narrowed. Not on this quest. Naruto nodded. Got it. I'll go full out. Apollo nodded and released him. Good luck, Naruto. And with that, Naruto entered the gaping maw of the labyrinth. The moment Naruto entered the labyrinth, the entrance behind them slammed shut with a loud clang, throwing them into absolute darkness. So this is the labyrinth, Artemis murmured. Gods, I hate this place. It's as if the very air itself is drenched in wrongness. Let us make haste. Wait, Percy called, a pensive expression crossing his face not that anyone could see in the darkness except Artemis, who possessed perfect night vision. Lady Artemis, you know how gods can make their eyes glow in intense situations? Can you do that too? Artemis tilted her head. Well, yes. It's a partial localized release of my divine form, she answered as her eyes began to glow a dim silver. Why do you ask? Just humor me. Can you make it brighter? Percy pressed. Artemis frowned amusedly but complied, the intensity of the silver light increasing significantly until it illuminated the entire corridor. Awesome, Percy grinned. Thank you, that works perfectly. Now let's go. He began walking deeper into the hallway. Nobody else followed. I don't get it, Artemis sounded confused. What is the point of this? Besides her, Zoe trembled with suppressed fury. Persis Jackson, she growled. Did you just make Lady Artemis do all that? So she could function as a glorified goddess flashlight? Percy froze mid-step as horror dawned upon the rest of their faces. Maybe? Dude, Naruto whispered, half appalled and half amused. You crazy son of a bitch. Persis Jackson, Artemis said in a low, exceedingly dangerous voice that had his hairs standing on end. You are very, very fortunate that we are in a hurry right now. But after this is all over. Her eyes flashed. Well, if I were you, I would try my best to redeem myself on this mission fast. Instead of begging for forgiveness, Percy merely saluted in a manner that was far too casual. Gotcha, will do. He's suicidal, Talia muttered. That's the only explanation for it. If you had wanted light, you could have just asked, Artemis said, her tone turning exasperated as her eyes stopped glowing. She held out her hand and silver flames burst to life, illuminating the corridor. But enough talk. Her eyes shone a purple-silver sheen as she examined their surroundings. The magical residue begins over there. Let's go. They followed, Artemis detecting where the trace magical residue was and Bianca providing a safe path toward it. Just like before, every choice Bianca made was the correct one, to everyone's immense relief. So what have you been up to these past few months? Talia asked Percy. Percy shrugged. Finals have officially drained my will to live and I'm freaking out about starting high school next year. Same old, same old. Talia smirked. Imagine having to go to school. Percy raised his eyebrows. Are you talking to me, Ms. Middle School Dropout? Talia twitched. Oh, you did not just go there. What if I did? Percy challenged. Electricity crackled to life as Talia prepared to zap the hell out of Percy when Artemis spoke up. Talia, Percy, please, she sighed. While I'm glad to see you two continuing your father's legacies, I would appreciate at least some modicum of professionalism. Appropriately chastised, the two apologized and went silent. That was, until Percy nudged Talia with his elbow. By the way, in case you didn't know, modicum means I will hurt you. Percy snickered. Hey, just making sure your middle school vocabulary can keep up. Zoe let out a weary sigh. Why can't you two be more like Bianca? Percy and Talia both looked at Bianca, who was chatting to Naruto about Nico. But don't you think his social development will be stunted if all his friends are ghosts? Bianca was asking worriedly. I'm glad Nico is happy and all, but I think he still needs some friends who are, alive. Naruto shrugged. I think it'll be fine. I mean, someone I know didn't have a single friend until he was like 12 years old. And his entire village hated him. And his uncle who he loved tried to assassinate him. Hold up, you said something, Bianca frowned. His uncle did what? But he turned out all right, Naruto finished with a bright smile. He's one of my best friends, in fact. I mean, yeah, he did have a whole murder-homicidal psychopath phase, but he got over that quickly. I have so many concerns right now. Point is, Nico will be fine, Naruto assured her. He's BFFs with Achilles and Theseus, and both of them love the kid. They'll take care of him. I hope so. Bianca's eyes suddenly widened. Duck. Nobody questioned her. Everyone instantly hit the deck. Not a moment too soon, for a massive axe blade swung overhead, and if they hadn't heeded Bianca's warning, they would have been bisected. I really hate Deadless, Talia groused as they dusted themselves off. What kind of dipshit builds a maze like this? Artemis flicked her wrists, and hunting daggers appeared in her hands. Whoa! Talia's eyes widened. If I offended you, that is definitely my bad. I hear breathing up ahead, Artemis cut her off. Talia's gaze turned serious as they readied their weapons. They cautiously crept up the hallway and turned the corner to find two normal girls? Huh! Percy lowered Riptide, frowning in confusion. What are you two doing down here? One of them licked her lips. Percy Jackson, she smiled beautifully at him. My, what a surprise. How are you doing, my fine hero? Oh fuck, the other one paled, looking straight at Artemis. Kelly, I think that's. And you brought your friends with you as well, Kelly seemed positively ecstatic. I'll enjoy sucking you all dry. She licked her lips again. Kelly, the other Impausa said urgently. I really think you should. I don't get it, Percy looked puzzled. Are you two like demigods or something? I cannot believe you are this dense, Zoe muttered. Do you not smell the cloying scent of blood on them? Percy blinked before blushing heavily. I think that information is supposed to be kept private, Zoe. Zoe furrowed her brow before comprehension dawned. You fool! She hissed, sounding scandalized. I'm not speaking of that. Huh! Then what are you talking about? Kelly laughed, drawing attention back to her. I believe your little hunter friend is trying to tell you that I am an Impausa. Silence. A what? Percy looked even more confused. Kelly stared at him. An Impausa? A servant of Hecate? A being created from dark magic? Sorry, Percy apologized. I had to cram so much geometry into my mind these past few weeks. My mind is pretty much dead. I don't have blood, I have geometric proofs. Gah! Kelly's appearance shifted, the color draining out of her face and arms. Her skin turned white as chalk, her eyes became crimson red, and her teeth elongated into fangs. Does this ring a bell? Oh! Percy's eyes widened. He paused when he noticed her legs. Her left leg was brown and shaggy with a donkey's hoof, and her right leg was shaped from bronze. Disabled inbred vampire. He finished confusedly. Naruto and Talia snickered. I'm an Impausa, Kelly snarled. And it's interbred, not inbred, you imbecile. Heh, Talia smiled smugly. So much for your superior education, kelphead. I will kill you all, Kelly promised. Kelly! The other Impausa yelled. What? She snapped. I might be wrong. But isn't that the goddess Artemis? What? Kelly turned to look at Artemis. Somehow, she turned even more pale. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Silver flashed. A moment later, Kelly and the other Impausa's heads fell to the ground and disintegrated into dust. Artemis sheathed her hunting knives. They were getting annoying, she said simply as an explanation. Percy shrugged. Fair enough. As they continued moving forward, the traps seemed to intensify. Bianca was still able to negate them all with pinpoint accuracy, but there were several close calls. Geez, Naruto muttered after the fifth skewering attempt. Are we near something important? Why are there so many death contraptions in this area? Bianca closed her eyes and concentrated. There's an arena up ahead? I can't really tell. An arena? Naruto tilted his head. In here? Certainly brings a new level of meaning to underground fights, Zoe mused. Though I wonder just who would set an arena up down in the labyrinth? Well, we have to pass it in order to move on ahead, so I guess we'll find out soon enough, Bianca said, looking as if she wasn't entirely thrilled with the idea. Up ahead of them were large bronze doors, emblazoned with a pair of crossed swords. Artemis snapped her fingers and the doors were flung open. They walked inside to find a circular arena. Plain stone benches wrapped all the way around, though they were all empty. This place reeks of death, Bianca scrunched up her nose. We know, Percy said, a strange note to his voice. The skulls are kinda a dead giveaway. Indeed, the arena was full of skulls. They ringed the edge of the railing. Piles of them decorated the steps between the benches. They grinned from pikes at the back of the stands and hung on chains from the ceiling like the world's most unhygienic chandeliers. Most of them were old, nothing but bleached white bone, but some of them were a little more fresh. I'm seeing things, right? Percy sounded downright strangled now as he gazed at the green banner of the trident, the symbol of Poseidon, hanging on the back wall. That's just a weapon that looks like my dad's trident but isn't actually, right? Guests? The new voice drew their attention. Above the banner was a throne made from bones and bronze. A giant had stood up from it and was grinning down at them. He was massive, nearly 15 tall and 3 seats wide. His skin was dark red and tattooed with blue wave designs. Welcome to my arena. I am Antaeus. Antaeus grinned. I do apologize for the lack of audience. I had plenty of guests in here just a few days ago, but sadly they already passed by. They tensed up at that. The Titan army, Zoe surmised in a hushed whisper. Not good. They're already on the move. Antaeus, the half-giant son of Gaia, Artemis stepped forward, her silver eyes calculating. So this is where you've been hiding. Oh? You're pretty knowledgeable. Who are you, little girl? Artemis narrowed her eyes. Sensing she was about to lose her patience, Naruto quickly stepped in. What's the deal with all the skulls? He asked, gesturing around with a hand. His other hand was inside his kunai pocket, prepared to launch a wide array of deadly weapons. Antaeus brightened. I'm glad you asked. This is my temple dedicated to my father, the Earthshaker himself. Your father? Percy asked with growing horror. Yes. The Lord of the Seas, the Stormbringer, the King of Atlantis, Poseidon. Antaeus paused as recognition entered his eyes. Ah, I knew your aura was familiar. Hello there, brother, he grinned savagely at Percy. Percy's eyes widened. Oh Hades, no. I disown you. I don't care if I have to burn down my family tree itself. You are not my brother. Antaeus laughed. Ha, you jest. I do not. Antaeus ignored him. Now then. His grin turned feral. I presume you all wish to pass by. He gestured at the door behind him. We need to get through that door, Bianca confirmed quietly. There are no other routes, this is the only path. And I shall allow you all to do so, Antaeus continued, as long as you best me in combat. Send forth your best champion and entertain me in a glorious battle. He jumped down and landed on the dirt floor of the arena, his muscles rippling and bulging outward. Who shall it be? They exchanged glances. I would fight him, Zoe began, but I'd prefer not to dirty my arrows and my blade with his blood. Ditto, Talia agreed. I don't think my spear would ever forgive me if I let it even touch that thing. I wouldn't do that to you, Riptide, Percy said lovingly to his blade. You're worth more than that. Antaeus straightened, looking offended. Come on, that's just hurtful. Percy looked at Naruto. Do you mind taking care of this guy real quick? Hey! Naruto frowned. What is that supposed to imply? So your blade is worth too much, but it's fine for me to fight him. I see how it is. Percy coughed, refusing to meet his eyes. Just a moment, Antaeus suddenly said, squinting his eyes at Naruto. Aren't you the son of Artemis? He recognizes you but not me? Artemis said incredulously. What is this? Naruto chuckled. Is this what it feels like to be Kakashi-sensei? To be recognized everywhere you go? He wondered before saying louder, Yes, I am the son of Artemis, he confirmed. Why do you ask? Excellent! Antaeus bellowed with unadulterated glee. The one who defeated Atlas and Ares. I will fight only you. Come, face me! Naruto shrugged. Aight. As he moved to step forward, Percy spoke up. He gives a bad name to the sons of Poseidon everywhere, he glared at the half-giant. Make sure to beat his face in. Will do. As Naruto faced Antaeus, jumping lightly in place to warm up, he called out. Hey Antaeus? What? Apollo told me to go full out, so I can't take it easy on you. Just wanted to apologize in advance. Antaeus laughed uproariously. Good. Let this be a phenomenal fight. He cracked his knuckles and rolled his neck. Begin. He took a single step forward, then was sent flying back as his face was suddenly introduced to a massive Rasengan delivered via a clone that popped out of existence a second afterward. The wall cracked under the force and he coughed out blood. Not bad, he gasped out, but you'll have to do better. A screeching sound filled the arena as Naruto created a Rasen Shuriken. A bright silver-purple light shone brilliantly from the rotating Shuriken of death, sending heavy gusts of wind surging throughout the entire room. Antaeus' eyes widened. Bro, what the fuck? Antaeus was cut off when Naruto threw the Rasen Shuriken at him, screaming in agony as his body was torn apart effortlessly. And that should take care of it, Naruto said, walking back to the group. Dude, Percy said, staring at the Rasen Shuriken, which had expanded into a vortex by this point, and was shredding Antaeus with millions of microscopic wind blades. Overkill much? I didn't want to touch him with my bare hands, Naruto admitted. He smelled so god-awful when I got close to him. Despite his dad being the god of the seas, I don't think he's had a bath in decades. Thank you for the imagery, Bianca muttered. I really appreciate it. He's not dead, by the way, Artemis said, her gaze still focused on the half-giant. Due to his mother being Gia, as long as he's in physical contact with the earth, he'll continue regenerating. Naruto paused, turning around to see Antaeus still alive. Dirt was crawling up his body and covering and mending the countless cuts littering his body. Huh, you're right. You! Antaeus growled, hatred in his eyes. I'll kill you! Naruto merely stomped his foot, utilizing earth manipulation to cause the floor underneath Antaeus to launch him into the air. Then, a basic wind manipulation made sure he was suspended mid-air. One quick Rasen Shuriken later, and there was nothing left of Antaeus except for dust falling to the ground. Well, that was somewhat anticlimactic. Suddenly, the sound of clapping filled the arena. Naruto tensed up, looking up to see another man come up beside the empty throne. He was old, with short gray hair and a clipped beard, and was dressed in a black t-shirt, blue jeans, and boots. His gray eyes were scanning the entire room, and whatever he saw must have been satisfactory because he gave a single nod of approval. You finally killed that nuisance, he spoke in an oddly accented voice. His presence has been polluting the labyrinth for quite some time now, so it's a relief for him to finally be gone. You have my thanks. Bianca let out a gasp, her eyes wide. This man. His soul is it's wrong. It feels so wrong. They all tensed up. Who are you? Naruto demanded. Me? The man smiled. The name's Daedalus. It's a pleasure to meet you. The very instant the name Daedalus passed the man's lips, they all immediately burst into action. In a whirlwind of speed, Percy uncapped his pen, which lengthened into Riptide. Zoe and Bianca instantly knocked several arrows. Talia slammed her bracelet with her hand and it expanded into the snarling visage of Aegis. Naruto formed a Rasengan, and Artemis's twin hunting daggers materialized in her hands. Daedalus frowned mildly. Clearly, whatever reaction he had been expecting, this wasn't it. Whereas before with Antaeus they had been relaxedly milling around, against Daedalus they went into high alert, distrust and wariness in their eyes. My, he said slowly. May I ask what I did to deserve such an unfriendly reaction? You created the labyrinth, Naruto growled, his skin still prickling uncomfortably due to being underground. Hades has been complaining about you for more than 4 millennia, Artemis stated, silver eyes narrowed. Also, the labyrinth. Lady Artemis and her son, Naruto, Daedalus inclined his head respectfully in greeting. Yes, I can certainly see why you feel that way. He turned to the rest of the demigods. That doesn't explain your reactions though, he said, looking curious. Are you kidding? Talia asked incredulously. A guy who lived thousands of years ago suddenly appearing in an arena of death? In what world do we not react badly? Besides, you heard what Bianca said about your soul, Percy added. A daughter of Hades called your soul wrong. Dunno about you, but that does not sound good to me at all. Your soul is sickening, Bianca agreed, a heavy look of distaste on her face. How did you even manage to get to this point? When you consider everything, it should be a foregone conclusion for us to treat you as hostile, Zoe finished. It's textbook, really. Daedalus regarded them all for several moments, his gray eyes inscrutable. Then he chuckled good-naturedly. I see. Well, I suppose I can't argue against that logic. He raised his hands, a twinkle in his eyes. I assure you, however, that I'm not here to do you any harm. Instead of lowering their guards, they all tensed up even further, the edges of Naruto's eyes bleeding silver. Daedalus frowned. What is it now? Your eyes just twinkled, Naruto said flatly. That's like grade A creep behavior right there. How the hell did they even twinkle? I have a better question, Talia said tightly. Lady Artemis mentioned that Hades has been complaining about Daedalus for the past 4,000 years. Is anyone going to ask how he's still alive? He doesn't smell alive, Naruto narrowed his silver eyes. He smells like oil and bronze. As if he's a machine. Daedalus smiled. I knew that I couldn't get past the acute senses of the son of Artemis. He tapped his forearm, which popped open to reveal celestial bronze mechanisms inside. Gears whirred. Wires glowed. Dear Hades, Bianca breathed. What are you? Daedalus hummed. That is a rather fascinating question. I could talk on the subject for hours, but I doubt such a philosophical tangent would be appreciated. For the sake of keeping it simple, I found a way to transfer my soul, my animus, into an automaton, thus preserving my life. So that's how you did it, Artemis murmured. You gave up the essence of your humanity, defying the natural order of the world itself in the process. The legendary inventor laughed. You of all people are going to lecture me on defying the natural order? He asked, looking pointedly at Naruto. Artemis bristled, but before she could say anything, Daedalus held up his hand placatingly. But I didn't come here to exchange barbs. Yes, you could call me an abomination. I personally thought the method I used to preserve my own life was rather ingenious, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion, he shrugged. You belong in the underworld, Artemis said matter-of-factly. Your very existence violates the sanctity of life and death itself, a balance that even the elder Olympians themselves would hesitate before infringing upon. Ah, the arrogance and hypocrisy of the gods, Daedalus smiled thinly. How I've missed it. Tell me, Artemis, where was this righteousness when you begged Asclepius to revive your friend Hippolytus? Artemis hesitated briefly before narrowing her silver eyes. I brought Hippolytus back to life because his life had been unjustly taken away by Aphrodite and the resurrection wasn't permanent. He still died afterward of old age. You, on the other hand, have no such excuse. Daedalus chuckled. So I suppose it's up to the gods to decide whether or not it's justified, huh? He shook his head. Such hypocrisy. Face it, the natural order isn't what truly matters here. The gods have absolutely no trouble disregarding the balance of the world on a whim. Case in point, little Naruto over there. There's a Rasengan reserved for your face if you call me little again, Naruto muttered. Noted, Daedalus chuckled. In any event, my point still stands. The natural order isn't what matters here. No, the real reason why you, Hades, and the council object against my continued existence is the fact that I had dared to venture into the realm of the gods themselves. With human creativity and ingenuity, I conquered death and attained immortality. And here, his face darkened. And of course, you all could never accept that a mere mortal had managed it all on his own without any help or permission from the gods, could you? He snorted derisively. As I said, arrogance. Artemis trembled with barely suppressed fury. You overstep your bounds, mortal, she hissed, taking a step forward and entering a stance, her hunting daggers glinting dangerously. Your death has been overdue for a long time, son of Athena. And now you resort to violence because you can't prove me wrong, Daedalus sighed. Typical. Hold on a moment here, Percy interjected before Artemis could respond. Before you two get into it, can we, clear something up first? He gestured vaguely between them. I'm getting some majorly mixed vibes from this whole interaction. Are you here to help us? Or have you joined the Titans and are here to kill us? Daedalus blinked. I didn't mention? Must have slipped my mind. I'm with the Titans, of course. They all tensed up. You've fallen this far? Artemis whispered. Well, yeah, Daedalus shrugged. What did you expect? If I ever get captured by the gods, then it's an eternity in the fields of punishment for me. I admit, I had originally held some compunctions for joining the Titans, but after talking to Lady Artemis, I find all my qualms vanishing without a trace. Why are you here then? Bianca demanded. To kill us? Daedalus looked appalled. Heavens no! He exclaimed. I wouldn't be nearly so crass or suicidal to attempt an attack on the single most stacked quest group since the Argonauts. He shook his head. No, I'm here to make an offer. An offer? Naruto said warily. Daedalus smiled. Perseus Jackson. Talia Grace. Bianca D'Angelo. He spread his arms magnanimously. Join the Titans. Their responses were instantaneous. Oh Hades, no. Hard pass. I would rather not. Daedalus sighed. Such stubbornness. Then tell me, why do you insist on fighting for the gods? You realize that they don't care about you, yes? He looked at Bianca. Daughter of Hades, your father left you and your little brother inside the Lotus Casino for 70 years, and even when you got out, he didn't help you at all. He didn't care at all. If it weren't for the efforts of the hunters and Camp Half-Blood, you would likely be dead right now. Bianca raised an eyebrow. Oh yeah? Being in the labyrinth for so long must have addled your mind, because Hades quite literally kidnapped Nico in order to keep him safe. Last I checked, you don't do that to someone unless you care about them. Daedalus hesitated before turning to Percy. And you, son of Poseidon. Gonna stop you right there, Percy interrupted. I've heard it all before. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. You haven't even listened to what I have to say. Also, my fatal flaw is excessive loyalty. Identified by the scary owl lady herself. Ah, Daedalus made a noise of understanding. Understandable, have a great day. Scary owl lady? Artemis muttered disbelievingly. Finally, Daedalus's gaze landed on Talia. And you, daughter of Zeus. When you were being hunted, your father didn't help you at all. Only when you were on the precipice of death did he raise a hand, and even then, it was to turn you into a tree. He could have saved you, he could have blasted apart all the monsters about to devour you, he could have ordered Apollo to treat your wounds, but he did none of that. He shook his head. It's disgusting. Join us, Talia, and I assure you such a thing will never happen again. Talia regarded him for a while. You know, if you had made this offer just a year ago, I might have accepted, she mused, a hint of melancholy in her eyes. Then her expression hardened. Sadly, that window of opportunity is long gone. Sure, my dad might have a metric crap ton of issues, but at least he's trying. It may be few and far between, but he undoubtedly has his moments where he shows that he does in fact care. Daedalus released another heavy sigh. As one demigod to another, let me share some of the wisdom I've accumulated over the past 4,000 years. The gods don't care. They're showing you but the merest scraps of attention, yet you're acting like they're somehow being the best parents in the world. It's pitiable, in a way. They never change, and they never will. Talia raised an eyebrow. You say that gods don't change, but see, I went the first 16 years of my life without meeting with Zeus a single time. Then, in the past 6 months, he's visited me 4 times. 4 times. Granted, that's mostly because of Naruto giving him a pep talk, but hey, I say it still counts. She tilted his head. Seems like a change to me, no? You say that he visited you only 4 times. And that's 4 times more than I had ever expected. Sure, it's a pitiful number, and you may think me pathetic for being overjoyed at the paltry amount of attention he's showing me, but you know what? Talia smiled. For him, it's still an improvement. And to me? It shows that he can change. Daedalus hesitated. Although not gonna lie, I'm a bit offended, Talia crossed her arms. Why are you focusing so much on me, and not Percy or Bianca? She narrowed her blue eyes. Do you asshats somehow think that I would betray my friends and family so easily? That I'm the most easily manipulated? No, I'm focusing on you because your father is Zeus, Daedalus replied offhandedly. It's nothing personal, I just figured that he would be the worst father out of the big 3. Talia blinked. Oh. Okay, yeah, understandable. Please, just listen to me. The gods are evil, Daedalus tried to appeal to them once more. You may think that the gods are in the right, but I assure you, they are undoubtedly. Okay, you're actually starting to piss me off, Percy suddenly snapped. Will you give it up already? We're not going to join the Titans. It's not about who's right or who's wrong, who's good or who's evil, he said, slashing his hands across the air. It's about whose family. Daedalus raised an eyebrow. You think we're stupid? Percy continued, green eyes narrowed. You think we're not aware that the gods are shitty parents? Because trust me, we're more than aware. The gods may act like they're perfect and can do no wrong, but I think we all know how fucked up they are. He paused. No offense, he said to Artemis. She inclined her head silently. He took the fact that she didn't blast him instantly as a good sign and continued. So yeah, my dad may suck sometimes, and maybe I get the urge to punch him in the face every now and then, but he's still my dad, you know? A heavy silence descended upon the arena at his words. Did he just use his first application of talk no jutsu? Oh my gods, it's beautiful, Naruto sniffed. I'm so proud of him. That's not a real jutsu, Kurama said flatly. How dare you? You take that back. To be fair, Naruto could empathize to a degree. He had been in a similar situation before. Back when he had realized for the first time that Kakashi-sensei, his father, Tsunade Bochan, Ero Sennin, and so many other people close to him in his life were. Well, they weren't exactly good people. His own father had slaughtered 2,000 shinobi in a single battle. Kakashi had done unspeakable things during his time in ANBU. Tsunade and Jiraiya were war legends for a reason. When the implications had fully hit him, Naruto had practically withdrawn into himself for a few days in the mansion, struggling immensely to reconcile the two facts. They were people precious to him. But they weren't good people. They had killed others. They had torn apart families and destroyed countless lives. Sure, it may have been done for the good of the village, it may have been done with good intentions, it may have been done because they had no choice and were simply shinobi following orders, but it didn't change the end results. While they had been praised as heroes in Konoha, what about in the other villages? What about the mother who lost her son in IWA? The father in Kiri who cried because his daughter never came home? The brother in Kumo who would never play with his siblings again? It would be so much easier for him to just ignore all of those troubling thoughts. To just return to the simple days, when he could just ignore their viewpoints. But he couldn't do that. He owed it to Nagato, Obito, and Jiraiya to consider every viewpoint. War was evil, and everyone who took part in it was equally guilty, regardless of their motivations or justifications. But then, how could he accept what they had done? Thankfully, he didn't need to accept the bad things they'd done. He didn't need to ignore or excuse their actions. He just needed to accept that they were flawed people, the product of the world around them, but that they were trying their best, and he loved them regardless. Now granted, it wasn't the best analogy, as he was fairly certain the gods had committed far more heinous crimes over the millennia with no good justification, but he felt the same logic applied. Kinda. Sorta. Maybe? Either that, or he had a lot of unresolved family and attachment issues, which was probably true, come to think of it, huh? At any rate though, as Talia had said, the gods could change. Naruto emphatically believed in the ability of a person to change, Obito and Nagato being the prime examples of that. If the gods had remained the same over the past few thousand years, then perhaps Naruto wouldn't be as forgiving, but hadn't he seen firsthand Apollo, Artemis, hell even Zeus become better? Sure, they still had room for improvement, but Naruto had plenty of time to make them see the light. Daedalus sighed disappointedly. Do you not even see how pitiful that is? Is 4 visits really enough to make up for everything that had happened? He paused. Though, in the end, you really are just children. Neglected children desperate enough for love and attention that they're willing to ignore just how terrible their parents are. Okay, now that. Percy paused. Okay, yeah, that's probably true, he admitted. But in terms of awful family. Bianca spoke up, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure if there's a title for worst grandfather in the world, Kronos would win it by a mile. The gods may be bad, but he's definitely worse. As usual, the air chilled from the mention of the Titan Lord's name. I see. That's unfortunate, and Daedalus looked genuinely saddened. I had hoped that you would see reason, but it appears it would be in vain. For what it's worth, I truly tried. Percy pointed his sword at him. Anyway, the philosophical pre-fight talk has gone on long enough. Can we kick your ass now? Daedalus chuckled. Sadly not. Well, if I can't convince you, I suppose I'll take my leave now. You think we'll let you leave? Naruto asked, preparing to act at the slightest hint of movement. Daedalus smiled. I already have. There was a moment of silence as they tried to figure out what he meant. His soul! Bianca suddenly cried, her eyes fixed on something invisible in the air. She released her arrow, but Daedalus, or rather, his machine body, leaped up and intercepted it. Stygian iron arrows, the inventor's disembodied voice said. More than a little terrifying. And then it was gone. Artemis's eyes glowed silver as she began entering a deeper layer of reality, but it must have been too late, because she let out a frustrated growl a moment later. He detached his soul from his body and escaped. I'm sorry, Bianca looked ashamed. I reacted way too slowly. I should have been able to stop him. Don't apologize, Naruto said, looking upset with himself as well. I should have expected something like that. At the very least, I could have stopped his body from blocking the arrow. He just hadn't been prepared, since Daedalus hadn't actually attacked them. And it seems like I'm unable to sense his soul even in Sage mode. Probably need 6 paths powers for that. Indeed. I sense negative emotions, but it felt off, so I didn't mention it. My apologies. It's alright, Artemis decided. Let us continue. They resumed navigating the labyrinth once more. Incredibly enough, it was only a few minutes before Percy and Talia were bantering again, the interaction with Daedalus seemingly forgotten. ADHD and short demigod attention spans indeed. Zoe was bringing up the rear of the group. Naruto dropped back to walk beside her. You've been pretty quiet this entire time, he said. Everything all right? Zoe blinked before giving him a small smile. I'm fine, thank you. I was just thinking about what Percy said to Daedalus. Naruto frowned. Is something wrong? She looked away awkwardly. You know. My father. Oh. Naruto's eyes widened. Oh. Zoe, I'm so sorry. It's fine, Zoe hurriedly said. Don't worry about it. I'm not sad or anything. I'm just thinking. Oh shit. How had he forgotten that Zoe's father was Atlas? The hunt is my family, I know, Zoe murmured. But at the same time. She shook her head. I don't know. I see, Naruto waited to see if she would continue, knowing better than to interrupt. Sure enough, after a few seconds she did. I had a sister, you know, she said. Her name was Calypso. She was kind, far kinder than I ever was. Even though she hated what the Titans were doing, she still remained loyal to our father. Because he was family, she smiled bitterly. And now she's trapped in a prison for the rest of time, doomed to have her heart played with by the gods on a whim. Quite a cruel fate, isn't it? Naruto grimaced. That's not fair. It isn't, Zoe agreed. Meanwhile, I betrayed my father and my duties, yet I'm allowed to roam free, enjoying life with the hunt. She sighed. It feels wrong in a way. I'm sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this. No, I totally understand, Naruto hurriedly assured. Don't worry about it. He sighed. For what it's worth, I don't think either of you were wrong. You refused to accept your father's actions and turned your back while Calypso decided to stay by his side even though she disagreed with what he was doing. You did what you thought was best, and so did she. True. Zoe shook her head. But that's enough angst for now. Any more, and I fear I'll start applying black eyeshadow and become an incarnation of Edge. In other words, you'll become just like Talia? Zoe smirked. Precisely. He snickered, drawing attention from the others. What is it? Talia asked curiously. Nothing, Naruto smiled. Don't worry about it. Talia gave them an odd look but dropped it. Anyway, Percy and I are betting on what's going to happen next. I've got $100 on the floor suddenly turning into lava, while Percy is stupidly convinced that a Titan is going to pop out of the walls at any second and attack us. We accept both cash and drachmas. You guys in? Zoe and Naruto exchanged glances. 10 drachmas on a god or goddess attacking us in the next 3 hours, Naruto said. Done. How about you? Percy asked Zoe. Zoe shook her head. I'll pass. Gambling is one of the many vices that I cannot tolerate. Talia rolled her eyes. Geez, you need to loosen up. Live life a little. I can do that plenty fine without resorting to such barbaric methods. Please, Talia snorted. Your idea of a fun time is probably sitting under a tree and reading a book. What's wrong with that? Talia stared at her incredulously. Seriously? Okay, that's it. After this is all over, you and I are going out to see a concert. I would accept, but I'm afraid my ears would never forgive me if I exposed them again to the abomination you like to call music. Talia gaped at her, offended. You filthy classical music lover. Zoe tilted her head. Yes. Talia shook her head in mock disgust as Zoe chuckled lightly. I was right. There's no salvaging you. She turned to Bianca. What about you? Want to bet on something? Bianca looked a bit scandalized. Camp Half-Blood is literally in mortal peril right now, and you guys are placing bets? How are you able to act so carefree? Percy shrugged. I mean, there's no point in acting all serious and stuff. You'll only burn yourself out emotionally and mentally. Yeah, Talia nodded. Besides, it helps keep up morale, she added. Maintaining positivity is the best thing we can do in a crisis like this. It's kinda like how banter is a vital ingredient to any quest. Bianca hesitated, then shrugged. I see your point. In which case? She smiled. Count me in. I bet 5 drachmas that we're going to get attacked by some rogue demigods. Ayy, Talia cheered, clapping Bianca on the shoulders. I'm glad you saw the light and that I'm about to become 5 drachmas richer. You wish, Bianca responded before pausing. A smug grin slowly spread across her face. Oh, and also? You do realize that I can have us take a path that avoids all the lava traps, right? Talia's eyes widened. Wait, that's not fair. That's cheating. That can't be allowed. I'll allow it, Percy instantly said. So will I, Naruto grinned. And that's the majority, Bianca declared. Looks like you're outvoted. She smiled. I love democracy. I feel like I should be discouraging this sort of behavior, Artemis muttered as Talia bemoaned her choices. Just a slight feeling. Hey, we're using camp funds anyway, Percy said. No harm done. You're using camp funds? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Won't Chiron be pissed if he finds out? Only if he finds out. A worried look suddenly appeared on Percy's face. You won't snitch on us, right? He asked Artemis. Artemis tilted her head. I don't know. It seems rather wrong for you to use the camp's hard-earned money from selling strawberries for betting. Percy frowned. Selling strawberries? Artemis paused. Yes. Isn't the strawberry business the camp's main source of income? What? No. Well, actually, maybe, Percy amended. I'm not too sure on the specifics. However, I do know for a fact that the Hermes kids have a nice little racket going on in the mortal world, and they're cutting Chiron in on a percentage in return for him not bringing the hammer down on them. Naruto laughed. Seriously? Chiron did that? He's pretty cool when he's not lecturing us, Percy grinned. Did I ever tell you that one time he infiltrated my school as a faculty member? Easily the best Latin teacher I've ever had. Oh man, that must have been so much fun. Naruto cut off abruptly as a man suddenly materialized in front of them, stepping out of the shadows in the corridor. He made no sound and indeed had no presence whatsoever. His stealth skills were easily on par with Itachi Uchiha himself. Naruto hadn't sensed him at all, which honestly should have been impossible. He narrowed his eyes as he drew a silver kunai. Hey! The man greeted. He smiled as if to show he meant no harm. He was tall and muscular, with the lithe build of a dancer. His long dark hair was pulled back into a ponytail, and he had gray eyes that shone with amusement, as if he was privy to some inside joke they didn't know. Sorry for the abrupt entrance. I hope I didn't startle you. Are you a Titan? Percy interrupted hopefully. Please tell me you're a Titan about to attack us. I have $100 riding on this. Alternatively, please tell me that you're a god instead, Naruto spoke up even as he began gathering his chakra. 10 golden drachmas are at stake here. The man laughed. I'm neither, I'm afraid. Oh, for Hades' sake. You're useless. The man cocked his head. I am a giant though, if that helps? Naruto paused. A giant? The man grinned. Yup. Your mother should know me. Zoe too. He nodded at Artemis. Slowly, Naruto realized that something was wrong. Artemis was frozen in place, her silver eyes wide as she stared at the man. Zoe was alternating between looking at Artemis in concern and regarding the giant cautiously. Mom? Naruto asked hesitantly. Who is this? Artemis's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her eyes were flickering agitatedly with emotions, and sections of her body began glowing silver as she struggled to maintain control over her divine form. Naruto wavered, unsure of what to do. Mom? He said in concern. What's wrong? He whirled back to the man. What did you do? He demanded fiercely. Me? The man held up his hands innocently. I did absolutely nothing. Whatever she's feeling right now is the result of her own actions. Isn't that right, Artie? Artemis flinched as she had been struck. Chakra and killing intent exploded out from Naruto as the silver pigmentation around his eyes vanished, and the power of the Sage of Six Paths rushed through him. The walls shuddered and cracked from the incredible pressure, and the air suddenly became suffocating, laden with the absolute force of his will and infused with the most powerful chakra in the world. Who are you? Naruto demanded as he mentally prepared the truth-seeking orbs. Me? The man raised an eyebrow, looking seemingly unaffected by Naruto's aura. Artemis never told you about me? Wow. That hurts, but then again, I'm not too surprised. He was silent for a moment, expression inscrutable, before shrugging. But enough of that. My name is Orion. Artemis's voice cut through the air. It was quiet, barely a whisper, but they all heard it. It would be impossible to miss the pain in her tone, nor the sudden shaky quality to her voice. Naruto's eyes widened. Orion? The legendary hunter himself? So you remember me after all, Orion smiled. And here I thought you had forgotten. How? Artemis whispered. She took a step forward but then faltered. Her expression was like glass, unbelievably fragile, as if it could shatter at any moment. Naruto had never seen her look like this before. Unbidden, he stepped next to her and slipped his hand into hers as a silent show of support. She didn't react outwardly, but she gripped his hand so tightly it instantly turned white. Orion didn't miss their small interaction. Ah, that's cute, he grinned. Mother and son, huh? Let me tell you, now that was a real shock when I found out. How are you here? Naruto questioned warily. I reformed a few months ago during the Great Stirring, Orion answered. Naruto's brow furrowed as he took in that bit of information. Reformed. Not resurrected. Implying that the myths which stated Orion was the son of Poseidon were false. Then that meant the other versions were true, the myths which told of him being one of the giants created to destroy the gods in the giant war. The son of Gaia and Tartarus. The bane of the twin gods Artemis and Apollo. Reformed? It appeared that Talia had come to the same conclusion as him. I thought you were a son of Poseidon. Orion cast her an annoyed glance. Do you mind? He clapped his hands, and the space around them warped, the labyrinths shifting and morphing as reality interposed with each other. In a second, it was over. Naruto found himself, Artemis, and Orion in a large room, nearly an arena in size. Percy, Talia, Bianca, and Zoe had disappeared as if they were never there in the first place. Torches lined the wall, illuminating the room with its flickering flames and casting eerie shadows on the walls. Don't worry, Orion said, forestalling Naruto's question. They're safe. I just moved us to a more private location so we can talk without being interrupted by the peanut gallery. He paused. By the way, has anyone ever told you how scarily similar you look to your mother? He peered at Naruto, undisguised fascination in his gray eyes. I bet you hate being underground too, right, Dash? Are you on the side of the Titans? Orion chuckled. incredibly blunt as well. He looked at Artemis and smiled lopsidedly. He really does take after you. He turned back to Naruto. To answer your question, yes. Yes, I am. Naruto narrowed his eyes as a black shakujo materialized in his hand. Why? Artemis croaked out, and the sheer amount of pain in her voice gave Naruto pause. She was looking at Orion with an expression filled with anguish and distress. You joined the Titans? Why would you betray me? Orion's visage darkened. You're talking about betrayal? You. He laughed bitterly. I can't tell if I should cry or laugh. It appears that after all these years, you've already forgotten. Allow me to refresh your memory a bit. He took a step forward, and as he did, hatred and contempt entered his gaze. Do you not remember that day, Artemis? Because I remember it perfectly. His eyes glazed over slightly as he recalled the memory. It was the day after I had slayed the giant scorpion Scorpio. I had decided to take a relaxing swim to soothe my muscles, and when my guard was down, an arrow pierced through my heart. A silver arrow. Artemis shook her head weakly. I didn't. Don't you dare deny it, Orion snarled. I can recognize your divine signature in my sleep, and the arrow that pierced my heart was filled to the brim with your divine power. And you know the worst part? He sneered. As I took my last breath, I looked around to find you, but you were nowhere to be seen. You didn't even have the courage to look me in the eyes as you betrayed me. I didn't betray you, she objected weakly. You know I would never. Orion held up his hand, silencing her. Stop. Please do not insult me by lying to my face. I've already accepted your choice. And for a second his expression was sad, full of melancholy and longing for a time long past, but it disappeared a moment later. For what it's worth, I wish it didn't have to turn out this way. Orion, please. He snapped his fingers and a bow materialized in his hand. In one smooth motion, he knocked 3 arrows and pointed it at Artemis. I defied my nature for you, he snarled. I was birthed by Gia for the sole purpose of killing you, but I overcame my ingrained instincts because I wanted to continue seeing you smile. For you, I was willing to do anything. I would have moved heaven and earth itself if it was your desire. Orion. And yet, despite all that, you betrayed me anyway, Orion continued harshly. You shot me in the heart. You murdered me in cold blood. You didn't even respect me enough to do it within my sight. For that, Artemis. Artemis shook her head soundlessly, desperately, as if trying to hold off his words. I hate you. And a pained sob escaped Artemis as she finally broke, and Naruto drew in a sharp breath when he saw glistening golden tears form in her eyes. Did Orion just make her cry? Huh. For a moment, Naruto just stood there. Gently, ever so gently, he extracted his hand from Artemis's grasp, slipping it from between her limp fingers. He evenly adjusted his cloak, making sure that it was centered correctly, before breathing in deeply. A second later, he released the breath, letting out a small sigh as he did. Absently, he realized that Kurama had gone deathly silent, not daring to make even a single comment at the scene. Hey, Orion? Naruto said amiably, a bright smile on his face. Orion turned to regard him. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to beat the shit out of you now. And his chakra surged. The very instant Naruto delivered his threat, Orion smiled triumphantly, probably having planned to bait Naruto into losing his temper. It was a good strategy, but ineffectual nevertheless. Enraged as he was, Naruto was still able to analyze the facts at hand with the tempered experience of a shinobi. Orion was a giant. A being literally designed to be the perfect counter to Artemis and Apollo and, by extension, their children. His powers and entire skill set were created so as to kill the twin gods with maximum efficiency, and it showed. Even in 6-pad Sage mode, Naruto was unable to sense Orion at all. It was as if he was a ghost. On top of that, Orion was at core a hunter. Judging by how all of Naruto's instincts were screaming at him, the room they were in was probably loaded with highly lethal traps prepared ahead of time. Daedalus might have even helped set them up, his genius mind collaborating with Orion's intrinsic expertise. As if that wasn't bad enough, even the surroundings countered Naruto. He couldn't use any of his more destructive techniques for fear of bringing the labyrinth down on their heads. Most of the ninjutsu in his arsenal was out of the question. It was clear that this was not a spontaneous attack. Orion had calculated everything, meticulously ensuring that every factor, no matter how minute, would work to his advantage. A small part of Naruto's mind admired the colossal amount of preparation and thought that must have been put into this assault. However, despite all his forethought and planning, Orion had made one crucial mistake. He heard Artemis. The space-time around Naruto literally distorted from how fast he moved. His speed increased to cosmic levels by the 6 paths chakra coursing through his body. In a split second, Naruto was in front of Orion, his Shikujo streaking forward. To his credit, Orion tried to dodge. He had begun evading before Naruto even attacked, his godlike intuition having warned him beforehand. However, it was futile. In a contest of speed, Naruto was unparalleled. The Shikujo slammed into Orion's stomach, instantly disintegrating his flesh into nothingness. Behind him, Naruto heard the sound of explosions and metallic ringing in his wake, the traps he had triggered going off too late. What? Orion gasped in shock even as he leaped back, trying to disengage. A small pellet fell to the ground from inside his sleeve and made a small pop, sending out a cloud-black smoke that obscured him from vision. Naruto snarled. No doubt Orion planned to escape back into the shadows of the labyrinth, and engage in a battle of guerrilla warfare where he had the upper hand of traps and ambushes, utilizing his superior stealth to take Naruto down. I won't let you. Shadow clones popped into existence, and instantly began molding their chakra, finishing the technique a split second later. A crimson barrier formed in the room, a cube of chakra so durable it could contain the 10 tails itself. The 6 red yang formation. A technique that Naruto instinctively knew how to perform due to his complete mastery over chakra gained from 6 paths sage mode. Simultaneously, Naruto waved his hand, sending out a forceful gust of wind that blew away all the smoke, revealing Orion desperately trying to break down the barrier to no avail. Golden ichor gushed out from his wound, but even as Naruto watched, it was healing rapidly. A giant could only be killed by a demigod and god working together, Naruto recalled. He smiled viciously. Good. That just meant that Naruto couldn't accidentally kill Orion before he was finished delivering his punishment. It's useless, Naruto called as he ambled forward relaxedly. Orion whirled around and instantly let loose 10 hypersonic arrows that broke the sound barrier with ease, bursting into flames from the sudden compression of air. If Naruto wasn't mistaken, they were traveling at least 30 times the speed of sound, if not more. Naruto merely batted them aside with his staff, the arrows crashing into the chakra barrier and collapsing to dust. What the Tartarus? Orion's eyes were wide with panic. Kronos never mentioned you could do any of this. That bastard. Naruto shrugged. You know me. Unpredictability is my finest trait, and all that. With that, he blurred forward and unleashed a barrage of blows. No Raisengans. Just good old taijutsu. Orion tried to counterattack, but there were few things in the world that could stand up to the combined might of Kurama's chakra, Artemis's divine energy, and the chakra of the Sage of 6 Paths. Naruto almost felt a little bad as he pummeled him into oblivion. Orion's plan had been excellent. It was obvious that every variable had been carefully considered and accounted for. But it was all for naught. As Naruto drew his fist back for another punch, Orion exploded into action, and in an incredible display of agility and flexibility, deflected Naruto's strike and sent him skidding back with a devastating kick. Immediately, Orion snapped his fingers. Half out of curiosity, half out of wariness, Naruto hung back a bit, waiting to see what would happen. Nothing did. Orion frowned, snapping his fingers again. Still nothing. Why isn't the labyrinth responding to me? He muttered before his eyes widened. Kronos! You traitor! Don't you dare! Naruto understood immediately. Kronos had sent Orion to kill him, and when it was apparent that Orion couldn't accomplish his task, the Titan Lord cut him off without a second thought, revoking his control over the labyrinth. Damn! How ruthless! Well, he wasn't going to look the gift horse in the mouth. Naruto held out his hand and began gathering chakra, shaping and compressing the energy until a raisin shuriken formed around the black orb. It screeched angrily, emitting purple and silver light. Sage art, raisin shuriken Artemis style. Orion stared at it uneasily. Hey! You don't want to collapse the labyrinth and bury us all alive, do you? Naruto angled his head at the crimson barrier still surrounding them. Don't worry, the barrier will hold. Oh. Well. Damn. And then Naruto threw the Raisin Shuriken at Orion. It streaked through the air at deceptively fast speeds. Orion gritted his teeth and braced for the incoming agony. When reality shifted once more, space-time warping and contorting, a rainbow spectrum of twisting kaleidoscopes, a corridor appearing from nothingness and stretching out so far it approached the vastness of infinity itself. Naruto shuddered as reality reasserted itself, stabilizing once more. Nothing had changed except for the disappearance of the Raisin Shuriken. It had seemingly flown into a passage of the labyrinth that had appeared out of nowhere and vanished immediately after. Naruto tilted his head thoughtfully. The Raisin Shuriken had been redirected into some other area of the labyrinth, then? Well, no matter. Orion was still standing where he was, looking stunned at what just happened. The shock turned to anger quickly. Hecate! Orion roared. What the fuck? Get me out of here too, dash! He choked as his liver disintegrated, courtesy of Naruto's Shikujo piercing him in the midsection. Not even dust remained, it was simply gone, having been written out of existence by the concentrated releases of yin and yang. So, Naruto said conversationally, wanna give up? Never. The son of Artemis smiled. I hoped you would say that. And he drew his fist back for a punch. Stop. Naruto froze. Slowly, he turned to see Artemis walking toward them. Her face was a mask of inscrutable calm, and her tears were gone though the edges of her eyes were still slightly tinged golden. Her form had changed, she was older now, her height taller, and her hair longer. She seemed perhaps a year or so younger than what Orion appeared to be. That's enough, Naruto, she said softly. But... please. And Naruto relented. She stepped past him to regard Orion. He had collapsed to his knees, unmoving due to all of the damage he had sustained. Artemis knelt down in front of him, taking out a piece of cloth and gently wiping away the golden ichor on his face. Orion slapped her hand away. I don't need your pity, he snarled. Naruto twitched but didn't move, trusting that Artemis knew what she was doing. Artemis stared at her hand for a moment. Then, without a word, she returned to wiping away the golden ichor on his face. Orion growled. Didn't you hear me? Or do you truly hate me that much, Artemis? Artemis stilled. Hate. You. I always knew you were cold, as distant as the winter moon, but to think that you're this cold-blooded. What changed, Artemis? Orion spat caustically. Or were you like this the entire time, and I was simply too blind to see? I don't hate you, Artemis said quietly. That only seemed to enrage Orion more. He gripped his shirt over his chest and pulled, the fabric tearing with ease to reveal a scar over his heart. You don't hate me, Artemis? He snarled, ignoring how she had flinched at the sight. Because you have a funny way of showing it. Or was murdering me just a pastime for you? I didn't murder you, Artemis cried, her mask cracking to show despair underneath. It was an accident. I didn't mean to kill you. You know I never could have. I was tricked. You know that she trailed off. Orion scoffed. Right. A likely story? I swear it on the river Styx. Orion snapped his mouth shut as thunder rumbled overhead. He looked at Artemis with an expectant expression. Slowly, the seconds ticked by. When nothing happened, his gray eyes widened. What? He whispered. Why, you're telling the truth? Artemis nodded. Yes. That's impossible. But that would mean... He shook his head. No. You're lying. You have to be. Orion, look at me. Orion did, silver eyes locking onto gray ones. Several seconds passed. Orion must have seen her sincerity, because his expression slowly became horrified. But... oh shit. He crumpled into himself, as if he was a puppet whose strings had been cut. His entire body sagged and his face seemed to age a decade. No, he muttered. No, 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 no. That's impossible. It can't be. This can't be right. He continued rambling to himself, the words of a man whose entire worldview had just been shattered. He said that you killed me, that you betrayed me and murdered me. Artemis and Naruto both tensed up. They exchanged a glance, reaching the same conclusion. Who else could Orion be referring to other than the master manipulator himself? Suddenly, everything became a whole lot clearer. Kronos had probably been whispering into his ear the entire time he was reforming, poisoning his mind and turning him against Artemis. Then, Orion looked up. Artemis, he said, his voice small. I think I fucked up. Oh gods. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so very sorry. Artemis didn't hesitate. She reached out and pulled him into an embrace, Orion remaining utterly still. It's okay, Orion, she whispered. It's okay. Naruto finally relaxed and exited six-path sage mode, letting the barrier collapse. The fight was over. What in the world just happened? To tell you the truth, I'm not entirely sure myself. There were many conflicting versions of Orion's myth. Some claimed that Orion was the playboy son of Poseidon who was killed by a giant scorpion sent by Gaia after he vowed to hunt all the animals in the world. Others claimed that Orion was the son of Gaia who the Council of Gods elected to kill due to his hubris. For some reason, Apollo had always refused to tell him the truth, and whenever Naruto even mentioned Orion, the sun god's eyes would cloud over as if experiencing traumatic flashbacks. Wait. The dark days, Naruto whispered, revelation dawning on his mind. Orion glanced at him, while Artemis stiffened. The what? He asked. It's what Apollo called the single absolute worst period of his entire divine life, Naruto explained, mind racing. Mom wouldn't look at him, talk to him, even be in the same room as him. And this lasted for 529 years, 8 months, 25 days, 5 hours, 49 minutes, and 23 seconds. Whenever I asked what he did to her, he would always answer that he made a mistake. Orion frowned. What did he do? I asked myself the very same question countless times. And now I think I know, Naruto looked at Artemis. The mistake was him tricking you into killing Orion, wasn't it? Orion's eyes widened as he whipped his head around to stare at Artemis. What? He choked out. Is this true? Artemis refused to meet his eyes. Yes, she admitted quietly. A strange assortment of emotions flickered over Orion's face. Surprise, incredulity, and something else Naruto couldn't quite decipher. You refused to interact with him for such a long time. For me? He asked in a small voice. Yes. They looked at each other for several seconds, gray eyes meeting silver, and Naruto got the feeling that the two were having a silent conversation. They must have reached an understanding of some kind because Orion finally relaxed, his mental pain and anguish seemingly disappearing completely, his face becoming calm again. I see. Hey, Artemis? Artemis tilted her head. What is it? Forgive me. Artemis furrowed her brow, but before she could ask him what he meant, Orion leaned in and kissed her. It was short, and he pulled back a mere moment later. Naruto blinked. Wait. What just happened? Artemis touched her lips. Did you just? I believe I did. Artemis let out an exasperated sigh, but a flicker of amusement appeared in her eyes. You scoundrel, she murmured fondly. Orion smiled. You know it. Don't worry, I'll subject myself to whatever punishment you deem fit later. He paused. I think I just broke your son. Artemis turned to see Naruto blinking rapidly, looking between the two of them. Naruto's mouth opened but only a low croaking sound came out, the shock rendering him speechless. Oh, she said, as if suddenly realizing her position. My dear mother, Naruto said slowly. What? The fuck? Was that? Artemis winced. It's a long story? You'll have to explain later, Orion said, his expression growing solemn. As much as I want to stay here and catch up, however, the Titans are planning something terrible. Artemis and Naruto instantly grew serious, their silver eyes narrowing in unison. What is it? Naruto asked. That's not all, Orion continued. You're on a mission to save Camp Half-Blood, aren't you? You must know it's a trap. Obviously, Artemis nodded. It's fine, however. We're prepared. Orion shook his head. No, you don't understand. It's a suicide mission. Hecate transported the camp to the land beyond the gods. The land beyond the gods? Artemis scrunched up her eyebrows before her eyes widened. Wait, you don't mean she trailed off, genuine alarm in her eyes. What? Naruto frowned. I don't get it. What's the land beyond the gods? Orion looked grim as he answered. Alaska. And while I was reforming in Tartarus, suspended in a state of half-existence, the Titan Lord was whispering in my mind the entire time, twisting my thoughts. As a result, I attacked you all. However, I was fortunately able to see the light after a conversation with Artemis and Naruto, and I now realize that I was foolishly being manipulated by Kronos. For that, I deeply apologize and implore you for your forgiveness. Orion bowed deeply, bending at the waist. The demigods exchanged glances, unsure of how to react. Zoe was the first to speak. Milady, is this true? She asked cautiously. Artemis nodded. I see. Zoe stepped forward until she stood right in front of Orion. He straightened up, looking down at her inquisitively as she gazed back at him with an unreadable expression. Then she smiled. It's good to see you again, Orion. Orion's face split into a wide grin. Zoe! He beamed. It's been way too long, he grunted as without any warning, Zoe suddenly punched him in the gut. What was that for? He wheezed out as he doubled over in pain. That was for being an utter idiot. Huh. Look, while I'm not trying to excuse what I did, Kronos is known as the master manipulator for a reason. I don't care about that, Zoe narrowed her eyes. I'm talking about what you did 2,000 years ago. Oh. Orion winced. That. Hunting down all the animals on Earth? Zoe hissed. Were you stupid? Did you forget the principal tenet of being a hunter? You're supposed to maintain the balance of nature, not commit ecocide. In my defense. Orion paused. Okay, yeah, I plead temporary insanity. He smiled sheepishly. My bad. Zoe narrowed her eyes and reached out. Orion tensed up but relaxed when she merely drew him into a quick hug. She released him a second later, stepping back and coughing into her fist. Just don't do it again, she said formally. Otherwise, as your lieutenant, I'll have no choice but to punish you. Right, Orion smiled. Got it, boss. Boss? Talia mouthed, looking quite disturbed by the proceedings in front of her. So, you want to provide some background so we're not completely lost? Percy said, glancing between Zoe and Orion blankly. Because I gotta say, I have no idea what's going on here. You two know each other or something? Zoe turned to stare at Percy. You do remember how old I am, right? I feel like I'd be in danger if I answered that, so no, I don't. Zoe rolled her eyes. Long story short, about 2,000 years ago or so, Gia woke up from her slumber, saw how the gods had defeated the Titans, became mad, and sired children with Tartarus. These children were the giants, being specifically designed to counter the gods. Orion here is the counter to Artemis and Apollo. Only, he somehow managed to defy his purpose, and while his brethren fought the gods in the giant war, he remained neutral on the sidelines. And I'm guessing he joined the hunt after the war? Talia raised an eyebrow. Zoe nodded. I'll skip the details because they're too complicated. And also because Phoebe made us swear to never tell anyone else, Orion muttered. Zoe coughed. That too. At any rate, he became the first man to join the Hunters of Artemis, and remained with us until. She trailed off slowly. We don't talk about that, Orion interjected, chuckling. Let's leave the sordid past in the past, eh? Well, Percy said, as long as you're not on the side of the Titans, I guess we're cool. He paused. Though you did lose me $100. Say less, Orion replied, taking out a black wallet and withdrawing a single crisp bill. Percy pocketed it with a grin. Glad to have you on the team. You're shameless, Talia muttered, shaking her head. Hey look, I gotta fund my coke addiction somehow. Orion blinked. Your what? Coke, as in the drink, Percy clarified. I know what you mean. But why coke of all drinks? Orion made a face. It's awful. Percy narrowed his eyes. Yeah, well, it seems to me that being stuck in Tartarus for the past 2,000 years have rotted your taste buds beyond repair, because you've. Talia sighed as she jabbed Percy in the stomach with her elbow, hard. Anyhow, do you know what the Titans are planning? She asked Orion. Specifically, her eyes flashed. What the fuck did they do to Camp Half-Blood? Orion's expression grew serious. Right. I'm sure you're already aware of this, but I'm afraid you're walking straight into a trap. Using the labyrinth as a conduit, Hecate managed to distort the space around the camp to transport it to Alaska. The effects were instantaneous. Talia blanched, Zoe reared back in shock, and Percy let out several curses. Alaska? Talia repeated, horror in her tone. Are you serious? Doth Hecate possess no semblance of honor or even decency? Zoe clenched her fists, her accent reverting in her distress. The immortals! I knew she had betrayed us, but for her to go this far. Apologize, you rat bastard. Coke is the best fucking drink in the world, and that's a fact. Percy snapped. Percy coughed. Also, Alaska. No way. That's terrible wait shit, did I just say Alaska? He paled dramatically, finally registering his own words. Oh fuck, please tell me you're joking. Unfortunately, I'm telling the truth, Orion said grimly. Hold on a moment, Bianca spoke up, frowning. What's wrong with Alaska? I heard it's pretty nice this time of the year. Alright, first off, Alaska is never nice, Talia said, eyes narrowed. Those guys are permanently freezing up there. It's like being a Canadian, except without the perks of being a Canadian. Secondly, it may very well be one of the most dangerous areas for a demigod. Even worse than the Sea of Monsters. It's a hellhole up there. Nobody messes around with Alaska, Zoe confirmed. Even the gods stay away, which is why it's known as the land beyond the gods. The hunters are banned from ever traveling there, and in the maps Chiron passes out every summer that detail recent monster activity and places to avoid, the entire state of Alaska is guaranteed to be crossed out with the words NO scrawled repeatedly across it in red pen without fail. Yeah, Percy said, shivering. And we only hope it's red pen. I once made a joke about moving to Alaska to escape the heat after I fell off the lava rock climbing wall. I think Chiron gave me permanent hearing damage afterward with his lecture. Why though? Bianca asked. What happened there? They exchanged looks. Tell me, Bianca D'Angelo, Zoe said. Have you heard of the giant Alcyonius before? I don't think so, Dash? Bianca paused. Actually, I think I've seen that name around before. She furrowed her brow in concentration. Yeah, somewhere in the underworld. I think I saw a Public Enemy #1 poster of him hanging up in the Furies' room. You've gone into their room before? Percy muttered. Bianca nodded. They're really nice once you get to know them. We had a slumber party. Anyway, Alcyonius was the eldest giant created specifically to counter Hades, Zoe continued. He was defeated in the giant war by Heracles. Her expression soured slightly, but he reformed around 7 decades ago during World War II, whilst the gods were distracted. Since then, he has been hiding out in Alaska, biding his time. If we know where he is, then why haven't we attacked him yet? I'll handle this one, Orion said, stepping forward. Generally speaking, in order to defeat a giant, you need a god and demigod working together. Gaia designed us to be this way so that the gods would be unable to fight in their divine forms without harming their demigod comrades, thus severely limiting their power, though this came at the cost of making us unable to have an official domain, or a divine form of ourselves. Alcyonius is different, however. He possesses the ability domain creation, which allows him to forcibly carve out a domain in reality, and as long as he remains in this domain, it is impossible for him to be killed by anything. In the Giant War, his territory was Pallene, and now, it's Alaska. It's why the gods hold no power in Alaska, Artemis said. It may be a fake domain, an imperfect copy, but the divine laws still apply. Alaska is a principal domain with the same divinity levels as the sky, sea, or underworld itself, which means the repercussions for any god who intrudes would be significant. Even Zeus himself would lose in a fight against Alcyoneus if they fought in Alaska badly. We've been content in leaving Alaska alone the past few decades since Alcyoneus hasn't made any aggressive actions, Zoe said, anger evident in her voice. A mistake, in retrospect. And now, the camp is there, Bianca finished. We should hurry. Right. Then Percy frowned. I feel like we're forgetting about something. He turned to Naruto, who had been leaning against the wall the entire time they were talking. The son of Artemis's eyes were unfocused, deep in thought. Hey Naruto, you good man? Naruto blinked, his gaze refocusing. Huh. Oh yeah, I'm fine, just thinking about some things. He grinned. Let's get moving. For the strangest reason, I feel like it's been a while since we've last talked, Kurama mused. It's odd. I know, right? I guess the time dilation down here in the labyrinth must be affecting things. Naruto shrugged. Your average supernatural phenomenon, I guess. Right, Kurama drawled. How are you faring? What do you mean? Well, the past 12 hours have been a bit of a clusterfuck. Camp Half-Blood disappearing, Deadless appearing, the whole fight with Orion. And don't even get me started on what had happened between him and Artemis afterward. I thought she took after Danzo and that she avoided any and all forms of romance like the plague. What the fuck is that analogy? And yeah, so did I. At least, until now, Naruto said. The most common version of the myth say that Orion was an egotistical hunter who decided to hunt all the creatures on Earth, which pissed Gia off, so she sent a massive scorpion to kill him. I'm guessing this version isn't true. Apparently so. From what I gathered. Naruto hesitated. The day after Orion killed the scorpion, Apollo managed to trick Artemis into killing Orion while he was swimming. I'm not sure how she was able to kill him, since a god and demigod must be working together to kill a giant, but I'm guessing Apollo somehow found a way to bypass that. And Apollo did this because. The myths say that it was because Orion had fallen in love with Artemis, and Apollo wished to defend her honor. But now, Naruto sounded heavily conflicted. I think it was because Apollo was worried Artemis would reciprocate Orion's feelings. Kurama sighed. What a mess. And here I thought your love story with Sasuke was convoluted. Yeah, it's a. Naruto blinked. Excuse me, my what? Oh, I'm sorry, weren't you in love with the Uchiha? No. What the fuck? Where did that come from? Kurama shrugged. He was your first kiss. Someone pushed me. You chased him for nearly 3 years after he broke up with you. He betrayed his team and abandoned the village. And come on, have you heard some of the things you've said to him? I haven't heard words laced with such homoerotic undertones since Madara and Hashirama's friendship. He was my best friend. My rival. My spiritual brother. Right, I'm sure. There is something very, very wrong with your head. Well, after spending the past 2 decades in yours? I'm not surprised. Well, fuck you too, Naruto huffed, but smiled despite himself. Thanks, Kurama. I needed that. Happy to oblige, Kurama grinned. So, what are you gonna do about the whole situation? Well, after the fight, Artemis and Orion seemed to be content in acting like nothing happened, so I guess I'll follow suit. Thankfully, aside from that one kiss, they've been pretty normal, so hopefully it was just an aberration, and I won't be having to call Orion Dad anytime soon. It seems like whatever happened in the past is staying in the past. Not looking forward to getting a new father? Pity. And here I was hoping to exchange notes on fatherhood. What do you mean by that? Oh hell no, you're not my dad. Your genetics says otherwise? Naruto narrowed his eyes. Big words coming from an Uchiha. Kurama drew back, affronted. The fuck you just say? The Uchiha were descended from Indra, who was the son of the sage of 6 paths who was your father, so you're technically Indra's brother-in-law. Technically. Kurama Uchiha does have a rather nice ring to it. I'm officially disowning you. Yeah, that's what I thought. Kurama grumbled darkly to himself while Naruto chuckled. There'll be a poison gas attack in 12 seconds, Bianca called from the front. I'm not sure what type of poison it is, but I don't think we want to find out. Milady, can you? Artemis nodded, snapping her fingers. A warm silver glow enveloped them all sans herself and Orion. Man, it'd be so useful to have a goddess on our normal quests, Percy muttered. Flashlight, poison neutralizer, headhunter. Literally the ultimate demigod's Swiss Army knife. I'd watch your words if I were you, Persis Jackson. My bad, my bad. As they walked through the dark passageway, there was a quiet hissing sound. Orion sniffed the air experimentally as they walked through. Damn, now that's a kick, he whistled. Seems like it's some variation of methyl isocyanate. Artemis tilted her head, breathing in as well. Seems more like concentrated methyl bromide. Huh. Orion shrugged. You're probably right. Didn't exactly have chemistry textbooks while in Tartarus. Really? Talia muttered. Seems like it'd be fitting. Nah, chemistry textbooks are reserved for the fields of punishment, Orion grinned. For us Tartarus denizens, we get the pleasure of reading Hesiod, smarmy git that he is. What's Tartarus like anyway? Percy asked curiously. I was almost pulled into there once by Kronos a few years ago. Orion's expression darkened. You don't want to know. Oh. Percy waited for him to elaborate. Orion glanced at him after a few seconds. No, seriously, you don't want to know. Ah. I see. They took several more turns, entering a dark corridor that seemed to stretch out for miles. A fire crackled to life ahead of them. I'm getting an odd sense of déjà vu here, Talia muttered. The light from the fire lit up the corridor, illuminating a scruffy man standing next to the roaring flames. He gave a toothless grin when he saw them and raised a hand. Heya! Fancy running into you guys here. Zoe sighed. You're here. After Zeus explicitly forbade all the gods from helping on the quest, and ordered you to remain on Mount Olympus. I don't know what you're talking about. My name's Fred, Apollo grinned, turning to look at the rest of the group. Glad to see you're all doing okay. His gaze fell on Orion. There was a long moment of silence as the air filled with a sudden tension. You, Apollo said slowly, his disguise vanishing with a flicker to reveal his normal self. His bow materialized in his hand with a golden flash, the threat clear. Me, Orion agreed, his expression guarded as he casually shifted his position into a stance from which he could better react. Naruto tensed up, well aware of the backstory behind the two. Considering how Apollo had been the one to trick Artemis into killing Orion. This could get messy. Already his chakra was gathering at his tenketsu as he prepared to get in between the two. Apollo's gaze flickered between Orion and Artemis. It's been a while, he said. It has, Orion replied neutrally. Are we going to have a repeat of what happened 2,000 years ago? I don't know, Apollo returned. Are we? Apollo, Artemis said warningly. Do we really need to have a talk again? You know what, sis? I think we do, Apollo said, his expression utterly serious. Just the three of us. A flash of red light lit up the corridor. It died down to reveal Ares standing there, brushing some dust off his leather jacket. Hey Apollo, Athena will need a little longer before she can give Zeus the slip, but she should be here any second. Ares froze as he saw the demigods. Oh shit. Instantly, he transformed into a disguise, a mix between several famous martial arts fighters. What the hell, Apollo? How about a little warning the next time that we have company dash? He froze a second time when he registered exactly who said company was. The god of war looked at Artemis, then Orion, then Apollo, then promptly decided he wasn't going to touch that with a 10-foot pole and walked over to the demigods. Hey there, shitstain, Ares greeted Percy politely, casually stepping behind him to use as a shield. How's it been? What is he doing here? Artemis demanded, looking at Apollo. Our children are in danger, Apollo said evenly. We're helping, of course. Surprisingly admirable, Orion spoke up, raising an eyebrow. I don't think you would have done so back when I knew you. It's been 2 millennia. We've changed a bit since then, Apollo responded. I'm sorry, Naruto, can we borrow your head real quick? Pardon? Naruto frowned. I mean, it's not like you're using it or anything. Pardon? Come on, we just need someplace private to talk. Naruto frowned, crossing his arms. My mindscape isn't some public cafe, you know. Well, it's not like the labyrinth has a conveniently located SCIF for us to use. Apollo blinked as a section in the wall suddenly opened up, revealing another hallway. Yeah, no, there's no way that's not a trap. A flash of gray light then lit up the hall, dying down to reveal Athena standing there in a museum curator outfit. I see we're all here already, Athena said, getting straight to business. She glanced at Orion, did a brief double take, before recovering her composure immediately. What's the situation thus far? Didn't you back Zeus up during the council meeting to not let any of the gods help on this quest due to it being a clear diversion? Naruto asked, an eyebrow raised. Athena shrugged. Just because I give good advice doesn't necessarily mean I always follow it. It's not in the nature of us war gods or goddesses to sit back and wait, Ares grinned. Especially when these stakes are involved. Mount Olympus's defenses are more than adequate without us there, Athena said. All the wind gods have been recalled and are guarding Olympus. Hephaestus has a whole fleet of satellites aimed at the entirety of New York, and Zeus himself has his master bolt on hair-trigger alert. She frowned. Unfortunately, Poseidon had to take his leave in order to defend Atlantis, but considering how we have the home court advantage, it shouldn't matter much. Granted, there's always the risk of us getting captured like Dionysus was, Ares smirked confidently, but between Athena's mind, Apollo's clairvoyance, and my own innate badassery, the Titans are going to have a hell of a difficult time taking us down. Athena rolled her eyes. In essence, yes. Behind Ares's back, she pointed at him, looked at Artemis, and mouthed meat shield. Artemis nodded in understanding. So, what's the situation? Artemis exchanged a glance with Orion. You three should leave, she said. Ares narrowed his eyes. And why is that? Because Hecate transported Camp Half-Blood to Alaska. Well shit, it was nice knowing ya, Ares chuckled, turning around. Good luck, y'all. Except you, Shitstain, I hope you lose your hands and legs to frostbite. Ares, Athena sighed, stopping him in his tracks. And Perseus, please cease from making such vulgar hand signs. She turned to Artemis. Truly? Artemis nodded. I knew leaving Alcyoneus alone would come back and bite us in the behind eventually someday, Athena muttered. I told Zeus that it was a bad idea. Tartarus, this is irritating. She let out a heavy sigh. No wonder Dionysus was unable to escape. That place is a veritable death trap. You're right, we can't come. That entire area is shielded from my sight as well, so not much information I can give, Apollo said, scowling. And it's freezing over there. But sis, you realize that you can't enter that place as well, right? Artemis nodded. Once I finish tracking down the spell's residue through the labyrinth, I'll return to help defend Olympus. I can stay with the group, Orion offered. Since I'm a giant, domain restrictions have no effect on me. The Olympians turned to look at him. Orion, Athena said, inclining her head slightly. You still owe me a game of Petia. Orion laughed. That I do. Your memory is good. As the goddess of wisdom, it has to be. I presume you're still on the side of the gods? Orion nodded. Had a bit of a hiccup earlier, but Artemis and I managed to clear up the misunderstanding. He narrowed his eyes. On a related note, for a half-brother, Kronos is quite the remarkable jackass. Athena snorted. That's certainly a way of putting it. In which case, I'd appreciate it if you could help the demigods on their quest. It'd be a huge reassurance to have you on the case. I'll be delighted to help. Athena smiled. It's good to see you again, Orion. She paused. At the same time, though, I confess the implications of your presence are rather terrifying. Tell me, how many of your brethren have been revived as well? Orion's face became solemn. I was one of the first to be revived, so I'm not entirely sure, but by my rough estimations, around half. Athena drew in a sharp breath. Half of them? Maybe more. It's difficult to tell. Athena turned to Apollo, who shook his head. I had no idea the giants were active until Orion here, he said. They're extremely well hidden. I don't like how they're laying low. What do you think they're planning? I'm not certain, Athena murmured. We don't know what Kronos' objective is here. Is he using Camp Half-Blood as a distraction for him going after Mount Olympus? Atlantis? The underworld? The Alpha Taurus is dead and Typhon is secure under Mount Etna. Well, Mount St. Helens now. There are too many variables at play here, too many questions and not enough answers. She let out a frustrated breath. We have no choice but to remain on the defensive. I despise it. Wars are won through initiative, but we are being forced to remain purely reactive. It'll be fine, Apollo said. Whatever the case, Kronos still doesn't have a physical form. Most of his Titan followers are still imprisoned within Tartarus, and, well, we defeated the giants once before. We can do so again. Indeed. Still, Athena looked unsettled. Well, I'll bring this information back to Zeus. We should take our leave. Apollo and Ares nodded. Kick their asses for me, eh? Ares said. Taking hostages is always a pathetic move. Apollo merely shot a look at Orion that said behave. With that, the three gods vanished. Without much more conversation, they began moving again. My lord, things are proceeding exactly as planned, Prometheus said, his head bowed. Though unfortunately, it appears that Orion betrayed us and joined the quest group. It is of no matter, the disembodied voice of Kronos echoed around the dark corridor of the labyrinth. He was never important in the grand scheme of things. I only needed him for one purpose, to bait the son of Artemis into losing his temper and using one of his more destructive abilities. Ah, yes, the raisin shuriken, Prometheus mused. I confess I still do not know where he gained his powers of chakra from. I've gathered that it is not divine in nature, so I'm at a loss at where it originates. I'd say it was from another pantheon of gods, except there isn't another pantheon. I wouldn't waste much time on it. It is likely a power even older than me. There is not much known on what Chaos did before he created Gaia and Uranus. That is true, Prometheus acknowledged. Well, whatever the case, he's undoubtedly a formidable threat. Indeed. But enough of this. Where is the inventor? I'm here, my lord. Prometheus jumped in surprise when another voice came from behind him. He turned around to see Daedalus standing there, having emerged from an opening in the walls that no longer existed. I hate it when you do that, he muttered. Daedalus ignored him. Is it ready? Daedalus nodded. It took a bit of fine maneuvering between me and Hecate, but we managed it in the end. He snapped his fingers and the mist of the labyrinth shifted, the walls on their right side shimmering before becoming transparent to reveal another corridor perfectly parallel to the one they were standing in. Prometheus stepped up to look through the observation glass. I don't see anything. Daedalus pressed his finger against his lips. Give it some time. After several seconds, there was a screeching sound from far off in the distance, growing louder and louder until it caused Prometheus to wince and rub at his ears. In a flash, Prometheus saw through the glass a massive shuriken streak past, emitting a bright silver-purple light, and though it wasn't anywhere near the glass, thousands of tiny cuts still appeared on the surface regardless. Prometheus raised an eyebrow. Terrifying. Quite, Daedalus agreed, watching the raisin shuriken fade off into the distance. I do not wish to ever be hit by one of those. Do you think it'd be enough, though? Prometheus nodded. It should be more than strong enough to achieve our purposes. And you can direct it anywhere you wish? Daedalus nodded. I have it trapped in an infinite loop right now. Sure enough, the screeching noise was already sounding from where it had come from originally. It's incredible, the things I'm able to achieve with Hecate granting me administrator access to. Well, I won't bore you with the details, but I can direct the raisin shuriken to anywhere the labyrinth is connected to. So essentially all of North America. Daedalus smiled, his gray eyes glinting. Yes. Though you'll only have one shot. If things go according to plan, it's all we'll need. Excellent work, Daedalus. Daedalus bowed. I aim to please. He hesitated. In return, you'll keep your end of the bargain, right? You need not worry. Your son and your nephew will be revived and immortalized, and the curse Athena placed on you will be lifted. You have my word. Besides, I'll be in need of a few master inventors when I take over. You'll do quite nicely. Thank you, my lord. It would be an honor. You're dismissed. Daedalus gave another bow before the floor under him shifted and he melted into the ground. He's one of the few mortals who managed to evade death entirely, eluding Thanatos and the Furies' grasp even after several thousand years, Prometheus mused. I have to say, when I first gave fire to mankind, I never expected them to reach such heights of ingenuity. He is useful. And are the giants in position? Yes, Prometheus nodded. It was rather difficult to get them in place, but nothing that couldn't be done. They'll make their move whenever we give the signal. He hesitated. I admit, though, I still have my reservations about working with them. As do I. I trust them not, nor do they trust me, but in order to take down our mutual enemies, I'm willing to work with them. We can take care of them afterward, but for now, let us cooperate. Prometheus nodded. Very well. And before you ask. He clicked his fingers, and a sarcophagus rose from the ground, nearly 10 feet tall. Though its color was golden, it was composed not of gold, but rather a more ancient element. Engraved on the sides were images depicting the glory of the Titans as well as humanity's greatest atrocities. Your new vessel is almost ready, Prometheus said. All we need is one final catalyst. He smiled. I do wonder how the daughter of Zeus would react. Kronos' chuckles rang throughout the hallway. I imagine it would be rather amusing. It isn't every day you get to see an old friend come back from the dead, after all. Thanks a ton for watching, Shinobi Squad. I hope you had as much fun as I did putting this epic what if together. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a single twist in the story. Drop your thoughts, theories, or even wild ideas in the comments. I read every single one. And hey, if you're craving more awesome Naruto content, go check out the other videos on the channel. I've got plenty of heat waiting for you. Until next time, stay sharp, stay awesome, and remember, even a shadow clone needs love. Peace out, Shinobi.